कैमरून का स्पेशल विजुअल एडवाइजर है, उसने हमारी फिल्म पे काम किया, उसने इसको सर्टिफिकेट दिया है।
इसने अवतार पे काम किया।
अब हम उससे बड़ा आदमी को जानते नहीं इस क्षेत्र में जो इस टेक्नोलॉजी के बारे में जानता है।
I'm Michael Jordan. Stop it. Get some help.
These defenses. I think that's what it's all about. And all great art, music, great writing. It's only when Shaheen got completely vulnerable, she could write like this. And you don't have answers. And the ability to listen. I think the most important thing what Shaheen said was about her friend, Namita, that she would just call up and she would cry. And then after half an hour, she said, "Are you done with crying?" The very fact that somebody across the line listening to you as you cry.
So you don't really want answers.
You don't, there are no answers. There are pretenders who claim to have answers.
Papa.
And they institutionalize those answers. And they impose those answers with the butt end of a gun. Or make it a religion. There are no answers.
I warned you this is going to happen.
Mankind doesn't have answers. You bullshit to your children. You don't follow the things that you pretend to preach to them. They see it. I have never pretended to my children that I was in possession of the virtues that people flaunt. That's why they feel that they are not misfits with me. I am a misfit at 71. I can't expect a young little girl to fit into the sick world where brutality is legitimized.
Papa.
So nothing is wrong with you, darling. Nothing is wrong with you. The psychiatrist wants to fit you into this brutal world. He is more sick.
Stop it. Get some help.
Namaste. I hope everyone is doing well. Hello everyone and welcome to another live stream. आज आज हम सिर्फ एनसीबी को जज कर दी सब बैठ के. आज हमारा काम है कि हम नारकोटिक्स कंट्रोल ब्यूरो को यहाँ बैठ के जज करेंगे. नहीं यार, डोंट कोट मी ऑन दैट. जज नहीं करेंगे बट फैक्ट्स को देखेंगे. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई होप you've all had a good day. And rahi baat is intro video ki, I really need to ensure that I take care of this Mahesh Bhatwala part, because I know your blood boils, and that's the reason, that's the very first reason for me to add that part to the video, so that once you're entering the session you actually have that boiling blood in you which is filled with rage. So that's the idea behind it. I'm glad I'm getting successful there. Okay, आज का session is not talking about any names, not talking about uh, any new angle or any kind of angle or anything at all. Today, yesterday, as we all remember, we had uh, an amazing session, an open session after quite a long time, a really good one, an impactful one. So I would like to extend my thank you to each and everyone who was a part of it, and it really means a lot. Now, today, the only reason why we decided to read that entire bail plea document, which is dated October 2020, right, is because of the fact that we don't want to be we don't want to be finding ourselves, I mean, we do not see ourselves being impulsive, or we don't want to jump the gun by simply judging just because Sushant Singh Rajput name is used in that document. We need to understand that if that name is used, why is it used, in what context is it used. So I thought that that as people, kal part 3 of protein prochesta, it's remaining, consider it done by tomorrow. So tomorrow it will be delivered. कुछ और भी नई चीज़ें मिली हैं पार्ट 3 से रिलेटेड. मैं और भी थोड़ा डीप डिगिंग में था, but almost done, and by tomorrow we'll have that session. Okay, so the reason behind us picking up this document and going through it today, we'll do nothing else. Okay, we'll just go through that document because that's important. Now, the only reason behind that happens to be the fact that for the last one or almost couple of weeks since the time this document has come into light, people have just been going ahead and blaming not just NCB. For us all, NCB has somehow become Samir Wankhede, which isn't the right thing to do, right? Because NCB is a huge organization. Even he used to report to Rakesh Asthana at that point in time. I'm talking about October 2020, जब का ये document है. So we should not only be blaming Samir Wankhede for anything. It's the entire Narcotics Control Bureau ring that has, I mean, the agency that has named Sushant Singh Rajput in that document. But the $1 million question is, did NCB really name them, or name Sushant Singh Rajput? Sarah, there's no open session, but once I'm done with the, once we are done reading with the document, if you guys would like, I'll open the stream for you all. Not a problem at all. So it would take like half an hour, 40 minutes for us to go through the document. There are 70 points, and there are a couple of things I would also show. So yeah, post which I can open the line so that people can join in and keep in their point of views, because it gets important. Before we begin, I hope आप सबको याद हो, कल मैंने सेशन के एंड में एक अनाउंसमेंट करी थी that 13th or 14th I would be going to CBI office. I have decided it to be the Valentine's Day. Not because it's a Valentine's Day. I've decided 14th because that's a Monday. If I choose 13th, that's a Sunday. There would be no staff in the CBI office. So there would be no use of me going there or people going there and gathering, because they would not be seeing anything. Monday is a working day. And anyone from Delhi, whosoever would be watching this video, could get in touch with me. I'll also be releasing a tweet tomorrow stating the same, so that people can join in if they would wish to. SSR Day also, yes, exactly, Shobha, and that's why 14th. 13th ko, by the way, we have the Unity Day session, wherein all the platforms, the way we came together on Sushant's birthday, we're going to do that once again. That would include, Insaf for SSR, Varun Kapoor, Dubai Tamizan, Krida Films, all of them who were there. So that's another piece of news. Now, my one request to each and everyone who's here or who would be watching the session at a later stage, let us try to read this document with open minds, with with an acceptance, with an acceptance of all kind of possibilities, and let's try to understand that कि अगर एनसीबी ने यूज किया है तो क्यों किया है, या फिर एनसीबी ने क्या सच में सुशांत सिंह राजपूत का नाम यूज भी किया है. So we'll get to know, as this document is divided into 3 parts. And let me go ahead and share, not share, but just a moment. I'd like to thank the person specifically who happens to be a lawyer and has helped me understanding this, this document in a very brief manner by uh, like creating a note, and it got easy for me to understand. I would be sharing that with you people as well once we are done reading the entire document. So so if you talk about this document, it is divided into parts, where in the first half you would see that all the instances that has happened, मतलब जितने भी लोग arrest हुए हैं, या किन किन के पास से क्या क्या मिला है और किन किन के ऊपर क्या क्या केस बन रहा है, वो सारी चीजें समझाई गई है. हाउ इट ऑल स्टार्टेड टिल द मंथ ऑफ अक्टूबर 2020. एंड एट अ लेटर स्टेज जो एप्लीकेंट है, बिकॉज यहाँ पे एप्लीकेंट इज रिया चक्रवर्ती, बिकॉज मानिश शिंदे ने ये फाइल करी है बेल प्ली. सो अगेन वी नीड टू कीप दिस इन माइंड कि ये डॉक्यूमेंट is filed by Rhea's lawyer. Okay, so in the second part, you would see that NCB has talked about, NCB's lawyer have talked about things from NCB's end, and Manish Shinde has talked about Rhea's end in this document. So let's not waste any time. My only request, keep an open mind. Do not, and once again, I'd like to thank Samir Wankhede for whatever he has done. But if NCB comes out to be wrong by the end of this document on the other end, it would not be Samir Wankhede, it would be entire NCB, and they would be answerable for it. So I'm glad that we took this opportunity of going ahead and reading this out, because rather than passing a judgment just without reading or just without knowing what is what, it's better to explore. So let's get into the professor mode. थोड़ा सा समय लगेगा, थोड़ा सा आप लोग बोर होंगे, हम एड्रेस नहीं दिखाते. चलो पॉइंट 1 से पढ़ेंगे. 70 पॉइंट्स हैं. जो पॉइंट्स ज़्यादा वो नहीं लगेंगे मुझे कि डिस्कस करने वाले हैं, उसको हम थोड़ा स्किप तो नहीं, बट ब्रीफली वील ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इट इज. ठीक है. एंड इफ देयर वुड बी, हु इज SSR's लॉयर? SSR's lawyer Sadhna, as clarified by Priyanka Di in one of the sessions that we did on Sushant's birthday, she did mention that it still is Vikas Singh. Vikas Singh is taking care of that Nyay movie wala thing and the other thing, because it is a state case. Once CBI comes out with their findings, and if the family thinks that there would be a need for them to intervene, or there would be a need for them to counter, that is when a lawyer would be introduced, or that is when the lawyer would be fighting on behalf of the family. However, currently a lawyer is not required, because there's nothing that the agency has come out with. All right. So the best that family has been doing is following up with CBI, as what I have known, to the best of my knowledge, and I'm really sure that family has a lot of hopes from CBI related to the same. So let's see. We are just waiting, and to ensure that CBI kind of fast tracks it, the kind of protest that I have announced, such kind of, even if people gather in small numbers, agar kam log bhi join hote hain, it's completely okay. It's completely okay to stand small in numbers until and unless you're doing things with your complete grit and conviction, right? So we would be doing that. And without wasting any of your time, so that we can also get a chance to open the streamline for you guys to put your point of views, and if anyone would want to put in their point of views of their understanding of whatever point we would be reading, feel free to do so. I'll keep an eye on the chat. However, I'd be reading simultaneously. There might be a little delay, but I'll see. Okay, let's proceed. Point 1. This is an application for bail preferred by the applicant in connection with CR number 16, the case number 16, registered with Narcotics Control Bureau, Mumbai, for the offenses punishable under sections this of the Narcotics, Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act. The applicant was arrested on 8th September 2020. So यहाँ पे applicant से मतलब बात हो रही है चुड़ैल चक्रवर्ती की, ठीक है. I have heard this application along with bail applications. There is a stamp with so and so number. Since all these applications involve common questions of law, and since all these questions were raised and argued in this application, I'm treating this application as the lead application in this group of deciding the questions of law. Therefore, the submissions advanced on the questions of law in the other applications are also incorporated in this order. Exactly, though I cannot say, but what I get from this is the fact that everything which has been argued between the applicant and I would call the NCB, that is recorded in the later part of this particular document. Okay. I have heard Mr. Satish L. Manishinde, learned counsel for the applicant in present application and also for the applicant in bail application. Mr. Tarak Syed, counsel for the applicant in bail application. Mr. Rajendra Rathore and blah blah blah. ये थोड़ा legal हो गया, मेरे सर के ऊपर है, but ठीक है. इन्होंने ये बोलना चाहा है कि हमने दोनों पहलुओं को सुना है. That's what I feel. Respondent number 1 in this application is Union of India through Intelligence Officer NCB, as described in the title of his application. I have heard learned Additional Solicitor General Mr. Anil C. Singh appearing for respondent number 1 in all these applications. Okay. Brief facts in case of the investigating agency is what it says. Okay. The allegations against the present applicant, matlab allegations against Rhea Chakraborty, according to the investigating agency's case, are set out in the affidavit in reply dated 28 September 2020, filed on behalf of respondent number 1. The facts mentioned in that affidavit in reply are as follows. Okay. So it is giving us the facts which is based on the affidavit that they had received from NCB. Okay, so it says, acting on a secret information, a team of NCB apprehended one Abbas Ramzan Ali Lakhani possessing 46 grams of marijuana at Old Kurla Gaon. Abbas told the team that he had purchased the drug from one Karan Arora, resident of Powai. On the basis, Karan Arora was apprehended and 13 grams of ganja was recovered from his possession. Both of them were arrested. So first of all, it talks about Abbas Lakhani, who also happened to be a part of the pro team. आएंगे हम उन पे, जब pro team का layer 3 करेंगे उन पे आएंगे. So यहाँ से सारी कहानी होती है start. ठीक है. Based और and this is something which is the information given by NCB. ठीक है. यहाँ पे लिखा है the facts mentioned in that affidavit. ये NCB के affidavit से information उठाई हुई है. ठीक है. Based on the disclosures made by Abbas Lakhani and Karan Arora, premises of one Zayed Walatra was searched, Indian currency of almost 10 lakhs and foreign currency of 2,081 US dollars, 180 UK pounds and UAE 15 dirhams was seized under Panchnama dated 1st September 2020. Zayed Walatra's statement was recorded. Zayed Walatra disclosed that the seized amount was the sale proceeds of the contraband and that he had supplied marijuana, ganja, bud, and psychotropic substances to many persons. Zayed Walatra disclosed few names with their details. In Zayed Walatra's voluntary statement, name of Abdul Basit Parihar, applicant in BA, as a receiver of ganja, marijuana was revealed. So, अभी तक हमने ये देखा है कि हम एनसीबी की एफिडेविट को फॉलो कर रहे हैं. अब्बास लखानी, सरनेम ऑफ अब्बास इज अब्बास लखानी. ही वाज अ पार्ट ऑफ द प्रोटीन. नाउ अभी तक हम पढ़ रहे हैं एनसीबी की एफिडेविट एंड व्हाट आई कैन सी सो फार इज सुशांत हैज नॉट बीन नेम्ड येट. Neither anyone for whom they were taking the drugs or for who to whom they were supplying the drugs. यहाँ पे बस इतना लिखा है कि Zaid Bilatra disclosed few names with their details, but they have not openly come out with any name yet. Let's proceed. Abdul Basit Parihar's statement was recorded. He stated that he purchased and sold marijuana through Zaid Bilatra and others, to whom ये नहीं बताया है. He used to supply drugs from Zaid Bilatra and one Kezan Ibrahim as per instructions of Shobik Chakraborty, applicant in BA. There were other instances when Abdul Basit Parihar facilitated supply of drugs. He was in contact with Samuel Miranda and Shobik Chakraborty. As per the NCB's case, Abdul Basit Parihar is an active member of a drug syndicate connected with high-profile personalities and drug suppliers. He used to pay and receive money via credit cards, cash, and payment gateways. Abdul Basit Parihar was arrested on 3rd September 2020. In his voluntary statement, Abdul Basit Parihar disclosed the name of Kezan Ibrahim as a supplier of charas/hashish. So, एक second. People are saying, can you please zoom in a bit? Font is too small, okay? अभी सही है तो बताना, ठीक है? So, अभी तक हम यहाँ देख रहे हैं शौविक का नाम आ गया कि शौविक के इंस्ट्रक्शंस पे जायद बिलात्रा एंड केजान इब्राहिम को ड्रग्स देता था कौन? बसित परिहार, अब्दुल बसित परिहार, okay? And उनसे शौविक एंड मिरांडा used to be in touch in terms of getting the drugs. Yes, correct, Sara. Abdul Basit Parihar is Shobik's friend, and यहाँ पे शोविक और सैमुअल मिरांडा का नाम आ गया. Based on disclosure, और अभी भी हम NCB का ही वर्जन पढ़ रहे हैं उनके एफिडेविट का. Based on disclosure by Abdul Basit Parihar, Kezan Ibrahim's premises were searched. During the search, NCB recovered 0.5 grams of dark brown substance suspected to be charas. Kezan Ibrahim's voluntary statement was this recorded and he was arrested. इसका statement आगे है, इन लोगों ने point बता दिया है कहाँ पे है. So we'll get to see. Kezan Ibrahim in turn disclosed that Shobik Chakraborty used to direct him to deliver contraband to Dipesh Sawant. Voluntary statements of Kezan Ibrahim and Abdul Basit Parihar revealed the name of Samuel Miranda. अब जो इनके voluntary statements है ना, हम ये पढ़ेंगे, then we will see कि वो statements exactly क्या कहते हैं. यहाँ पे ये तो बता दिया गया कि Shobik Chakraborty was the one who was handling the delivery and the movement of drugs within the camp or whatever it was. Samuel Miranda's voluntary statement was recorded and he was arrested on 4th September 2020. Shobik Chakraborty's voluntary statement was recorded wherein he has allegedly disclosed that Abdul Basit Parihar provided drugs to Dipesh Sawant through Kezan Ibrahim. On the basis of this material, Shobik Chakraborty was arrested on 4th September 2020, the same day when Samuel Miranda was arrested as well. Dipesh Sawant's name was revealed in the statements of Kezan Ibrahim and Abdul Basit Parihar. Dipesh Sawant's statement was recorded. He has stated that he got contact details of a weed and hashish dealer from Shobik Chakraborty and Kezan. Even Dipesh Sawant was arrested on 5th September 2020. अभी तक हमने क्या पढ़ा है कि it's just Dipesh, it's Zaid Bilatra, it's Shobik Chakraborty, it's Samuel Miranda, इन सब के नाम है. Let's see. अभी तक तो भगवान की दुआ से सही जा रहे हैं, ठीक है. In his voluntary statement, Kezan Ibrahim disclosed the name of Anuj Keshwani as a supplier of marijuana. In his statement, he mentioned about purchase and sale of marijuana, charas, and LSD. NCB's case is that Anuj Keshwani used to procure drugs from Regal Mahakal for selling them to Kezan Ibrahim. There were instances where Anuj Keshwani facilitated supply of drugs and he was in contact with Kezan Ibrahim. Anuj Keshwani's statement was recorded and he was arrested on 7 September 2020. It is proven beyond doubt that Shobik was a supplier and he used to give instructions that where the delivery would be happening, to whom it would be happening, and whatnot. Right? It was Shobik who got Dipesh Sawant and Samuel Miranda to get in touch with these dealers who were providing drugs to them. They were all released. Exactly. That's the biggest question. So this is the bail order na. Let's see ki what exactly has happened. जिस वजह से कुछ लोगों को bail मिली, कुछ लोगों को नहीं, because we know that Shovik को bail नहीं मिली थी. He stayed in for a longer period of time. The affidavit in reply further mentions that from Anuj Keshwani, 585 grams of charas, 270 point blah 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 blah, itna drugs, apart from cash of 1,85,200 were recovered. This recovery from Anuj Keshwani is important because, according to NCB, the entire case, therefore, is based on recovery of commercial quantity of LSD, and hence, it is not a case of recovery of small quantity of narcotic drugs or psychotropic substance. So, mainly, इन्होंने case base किया था LSD की recovery के ऊपर, क्योंकि उसका base बहुत ज़्यादा बन रहा था on Anuj Keshwani. Now, the affidavit further mentions that Shovik Chakraborty's statement revealed that he used to facilitate delivery of drugs through Abdul Basit Parihar from Kazan Ibrahim and Zaid. These deliveries used to be received by the aides of Sushant Singh Rajput. Again, aides of Sushant Singh Rajput. यहाँ पे ये नहीं बोला है कि it was received by Sushant Singh Rajput. By meaning aides of Sushant Singh Rajput certainly means Dipesh Sawant, Samuel Miranda, who were in talks those days. But again, I would have preferred if in NCB's affidavit they would have mentioned the names instead of aides of Sushant Singh Rajput. Again, my take, but yeah, let's proceed. It is the case of NCB that every such delivery and every payment made on that behalf was in conscious knowledge of the present applicant. Samuel Miranda's statement mentions that he used to procure drugs on directions of Sushant Singh Rajput and the present applicant. Okay. एक सेकेंड ना. तो इस पॉइंट में ये बताया जा रहा है कोर्ट के द्वारा कि द एफिडेविट फर्दर मेंशंस this. It is the case of NCB that every such delivery and every payment made in this behalf was in the conscious knowledge of the present applicant. Samuel Miranda's statement, okay, it's a statement from Samuel Miranda that mentions that he used to procure drugs on directions of Sushant Singh Rajput and Rhea Chakraborty. Okay, it is Samuel Miranda who is saying that. Still, NCB hasn't. If Samuel Miranda has said anything, they have to mention it in the report, right? Ki this is his statement. So again, it's word of Miranda, right? According to him, the financial matters in this regard were dealt by the applicant and Sushant Singh Rajput. In his statement, Dipesh Sawant has disclosed that he used to receive drugs for Sushant Singh Rajput on his directions on several occasions, and the present applicant also gave similar instructions. तो Dipesh Sawant ने भी अपने statement में ताई का नाम भी लिया है और SSR का नाम भी लिया है. Okay. According to him, financial issues for purchase of drugs were dealt by Sushant Singh Rajput and the present applicant, again Rhea and SSR. Dipesh Sawant himself used to receive drugs along with Samuel Miranda for consumption by Sushant Singh Rajput. एक चीज मेरे को समझ नहीं आती यार. एक बहुत छोटा सा पॉइंट मैं बोलूंगा. आई नो हम कुछ भी नहीं पढ़े हैं इस डॉक्यूमेंट के अंदर, बट हर जगह ये प्रेजेंट एप्लीकेंट क्यों और रिया चक्रवर्ती क्यों नहीं? हर जगह ये सुशांत सिंह राजपूत ड्रग केस क्यों और रिया चक्रवर्ती ड्रग केस क्यों नहीं? हर जगह ये SSR मनी साइफनिंग केस या फिर ED केस क्यों, रिया चक्रवर्ती ED केस क्यों नहीं? क्योंकि she is the main accused in everything. Okay, let's proceed. Dipesh Sawant himself used to receive drugs along with Samuel. Okay, we are done with this. Based on these disclosures, the applicant was summoned and her voluntary statement under Section 67 of NDPS Act, blah, 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 was recorded on 7th and 8th. Again, last lines, you want me to repeat it again? Okay. Applicant also gave similar instructions. According to him, financial issues for purchase of drugs were dealt by Sushant Singh Rajput and the present applicant. Dipesh Sawant himself used to receive drugs along with Samuel Miranda for consumption by Sushant Singh Rajput. That's what it says. Okay. Now, based on these disclosures, the applicant was summoned and a voluntary statement. Okay. According to NCB, the applicant, I mean Rhea Chakraborty, acknowledged the statements of these accused and explained her own role. It is the case of NCB that during her statement, the applicant revealed about her involvement in procurement of drugs and financing of illicit drug dealing. Her statement also mentions instructions given to Samuel Miranda, Dipesh Sawant, and Shovik Chakraborty in this regard. Thus, according to NCB, the applicant was an active member of a drug syndicate connected with the drug supplies. Applicant as in Rhea Chakraborty. She was a prominent member of supply chain of drugs to Sushant Singh Rajput, and she was handling finances also. It is therefore NCB's case that applicant used to procure drugs for Sushant Singh Rajput, that she used to manage finances along with SSR for drug procurement. Based on this material, the applicant was arrested on 8th September 2020. सो एक तरीके से सारा कुछ डाल दिया सुशांत के ऊपर, सुशांत के नाम पे, made Sushant, an adversary. Oh yes, Hema, she still got the bail after even, accepting the fact that she was financially involved, despite of taking SSR's name in it. Yeah, so सब इन्होंने सुशांत के नाम पे कर दिया, और फिर हम एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं. And the worst thing is, I don't even know whether agency has challenged it or not. But again, the thing is कि अगर ये इनके statements हैं, जो applicant का हो या फिर दिपेश सावंत का हो या फिर Samuel Miranda का हो, that is something which NCB has to mention as is, word by word. They cannot change the word. If Sushant Singh Rajput is used in the statement, they have to mention it. Okay. फर्दर इन्वेस्टिगेशन रिवील्ड, अभी तक मुझे एनसीबी की एक ही गलती लगी है कि रादर देन यूजिंग सुशांत सिंह राजपूत, दे कुड हैव यूज्ड, ओके, रादर देन यूजिंग एप्लीकेंट ऑल ओवर अगेन, दे कुड हैव यूज्ड रिया चक्रवर्ती. एंड उसका नाम तो यहाँ पे यूज ही नहीं हुआ है, एक आध जगह यूज हुआ है, आई गेस. हाउएवर, लेट्स प्रोसीड. ओके. Further investigation revealed that in March 2020, the applicant's brother Shovik Chakraborty had told Samuel Miranda to get butt for Sushant Singh Rajput and arrange the contact of Zaid Vilatra through his associate Abdul Basit Parihar. Okay. Further investigation revealed. Again, now investigation revealed bola hai, but it doesn't state कि it was a statement given by someone, or it is something that NCB has come into conclusion with कि सुशांत सिंह राजपूत के लिए बर्ड वो हो रहा था arrange. For this drug consignment, the present applicant's debit card of HDFC Bank was provided to Samuel Miranda. Using that debit card, Samuel Miranda withdrew rupees 10,000 for the bud of 5 grams. Okay. It is the further case of NCB that on 16th March 2020, in pursuance to the conspiracy between the applicant and Shovik Chakraborty, I would call her Rhea Chakraborty, and Shovik Chakraborty, they assessed the requirement of ganja for Sushant Singh Rajput. Again, NCB has एक second. Okay. मुझे एक और चीज़ ये पता चली है, थैंक्स फॉर दिस. आई मीन इट्स गुड टू हैव, इट्स ब्लेसिंग टू हैव अ लॉयर अराउंड. एप्लीकेशन में, मतलब ऐसे कोर्ट ऑर्डर में, इन एप्लीकेशंस में दे कैन नॉट यूज़ रिया चक्रवर्ती, दे हैव टू यूज़ एप्लीकेंट एंड रिस्पोंडेंट. तो यहाँ पे एप्लीकेंट हो जाती है रिया चक्रवर्ती और रिस्पोंडेंट हो जाती है एनसीबी. तो नेम ऑफ रिया चक्रवर्ती कैन नॉट बी टेकन, एप्लीकेंट हैज टू बी यूज्ड देयर. सो अगेन आई मीन क्या बोल सकते हैं, ठीक है, बिकॉज सुशांत इज नॉट देयर to come back and give an explanation as to what bullshit is this which is happening around. Okay, Raj, that's the main question. Ki Rhea has done it all, accepted it all, and still out. And that's how the world is, right? Again, think about Sahil Khan, जिसने abetment to suicide का case लगा था for Manoj Patil, and despite of everything out in the open, he is roaming around. He got bail. Okay. NCB has the WhatsApp chats to the effect on 17th March 2020. Shovik Chakraborty shared Samuel Miranda's contact number with Abdul Basit Parihar and drug was delivered to Samuel Miranda by Abdul Basit's contact. Zaid Bilatra near Eat Around Corner in Bandra on 15th April 2020. Shovik Chakraborty facilitated delivery of charas in conspiracy with Samuel Miranda. Charas was delivered to Dipesh Sawant by Abdul Basit's contact Kezan Ibrahim. According to NCB, Shovik's disclosure showed that he used cash card of the applicant for purchase of drugs with knowledge of the applicant, which is Rhea Chakraborty. It is specifically mentioned in the affidavit that Shovik was controlling the supply of drugs and financing of such illicit drug dealings directly as well as indirectly, with full knowledge of the applicant, Rhea Chakraborty. Shovik Chakraborty had received delivery of wheat from one Karamji through his friend Suryadeep Malhotra at Shovik and the applicant's residence, Rhea's address. Shovik had received consignments of drugs from Samuel Miranda. The affidavit further mentions that Shovik had bank transactions with drug supplier Dwayne Fernandez regarding drug purchase. NCB has bank account statement to that effect. अब यहाँ पे NCB ने बहुत clearly mention किया है कि Shovik got drugs from Miranda and he got drugs from Dipesh Sawant. यहाँ पे लिखा है कि Shovik Chakraborty had received delivery of wheat from one Karamjeet at एक सेकेंड कहाँ पे था? Okay, it is specifically mentioned after Shovik was controlling the supply directly. Yeah. So यहाँ पे अभी तक हमने clearly एक ही चीज देखी है कि it is Samuel Miranda and it is Dipesh Sawant who received the drugs. No name of Sushant Singh Rajput by any means. So let's see. Thus, according to NCB, Shovik Chakraborty was facilitating, dealing, financing, and receiving the drug deliveries at his residence and at the residence of Sushant Singh Rajput. यहाँ भी ये लिखा है कि Shovik was receiving it and in the address of Sushant Singh Rajput. Dipesh Sawant's statement revealed that on 17th March 2020, on the directions of Shovik, he received the delivery of Bud in Bandra from Zayed. At that time, Samuel Miranda was with him. तो यहाँ पे दिपेश और सैमुअल ने भी साथ में एक डिलीवरी ली है. On 17th April 2020, Shovik Chakraborty and the applicant asked Dipesh Sawant to receive charas/hashish from Kezan. The delivery took place near Mount Blanc building. Dipesh Sawant has 11 paid rupees 7,000 to Kezan, which was given by present applicant. Again, Rhea Chakraborty. पैसे की डीलिंग अभी तक आप देख रहे हो रिया के अकाउंट से हो रही है HDFC बैंक एंड रिया इज द वन हु इज पेइंग Shovik as well to score the drugs. Interesting. On 1st May 2020, Shovik asked Dipesh to receive ganja from Dwayne and gave him Dwayne's contact number on 2nd May 2020. Dipesh Sawant received charas from Dwayne in the first week of June. Dipesh Sawant received ganja from a delivery boy by named Rishikesh Pawar for Sushant Singh Rajput and the applicant. Delivery boy Rishikesh Pawar? एक second. Dipesh Sawant received ganja from a delivery boy by named. This is okay. ऋषिकेश पवार यार प्रो टीम में नहीं था. नहीं ओके ठीक है अब्बास लखानी था. But he was also called SSR's friend, right? So why was he called delivery boy here? कोई पॉइंट ही नहीं बनता. ठीक है आगे बढ़ते हैं. यहाँ पे भी दिपेश सावंत ने बोला है कि it's Dipesh who got the stuff for Sushant. It is alleged that Rhea gave 10,000 rupees to Dipesh Sawant, which he paid to Dwayne outside Mount Blanc building and received 2 packets of ganja of 25 grams each. Dwayne sent his bank details to Dipesh Sawant, who in turn shared them with Shovik Chakraborty for balance payment. The applicant has told Dipesh Sawant that one of the packets would be taken by Shouvik Chakraborty. तो भाई बहन दोनों मिलके यहाँ पे शॉपिंग कर रहे थे और एसएसआर को सुला रखा था घर पे, और फुल ऑन एचडीएफसी का अकाउंट यूज करके, जो कि एसएसआर का था, रिया का भी नहीं था, उसको यूज करके यहाँ पे स्कोरिंग चल रही थी और नाम लगाया जा रहा है सुशांत सिंह राजपूत का. अमेजिंग, सुपर्ब, आई मीन हैट्स ऑफ. Based on these allegations and material, NCB has stated in their affidavit that there was sufficient material against the present applicant, Rhea Chakraborty, to show that she was involved in financing the illicit trafficking of drugs and was dealing in it. It is further their case that that Rhea Chakraborty was aware that Sushant Singh Rajput was engaged in consumption, and yet she harbored him and concealed him whilst he was engaged in consuming drugs. एक सेकेंड. It is further 1270, 12. Dude, okay, this is something I didn't expect. According to NCB, this would amount to harboring. It is their case, as in it is NCB's case, that the applicant allowed her residence for drug storage and helped Sushant Singh Rajput in procuring drugs for consumption. Okay. The applicant not only regularly dealt in it, but also financed illicit trafficking of drugs, and that she was a conspirator with other accused in the present offense involving commercial quantity of contraband, that is LSD, which was recovered from co-accused Anuj Keshwani. Dude, okay, now I am concerned. But again, I might not, it would not be a good thing to react much, because this document is dated October 2020. It was still the initials at that point in time. This is exactly how applications are written in the court. I get it, VD. I'm not saying anything at all about the application, or I'm not saying that it's written in a wrong way. I'm just saying that there are a few things which irks me. We cannot be blind and just say, oh, all hail NCB, right? I'm marking the points. I am marking these points. I have got them. Okay. The NCB claims that they have ample material, including electronic evidence, that the applicant, Rhea Chakraborty, was involved in drug trafficking. She had facilitated in drug deliveries and payment through credit card, cash payment gateways for the contraband, and therefore, Rhea Chakraborty was not entitled for bail. It is mentioned that if she was released on bail at this crucial stage of investigation, it would hamper further investigation. It is specifically mentioned that drugs which were financed by her were not meant for her personal consumption. The drugs were supplied for consumption by some other person. Thus, according to NCB of NDPS Act, was squarely applicable. It was pointed out by the learned counsel for the applicant that the applicant's statements were allegedly recorded on this date. According to him, she retracted such statements on 8th September and 9th. Okay. Now, Rhea Chakraborty had preferred criminal bail application number this before the special court for NDPS at Greater Mumbai for her release on bail. This application was rejected by the learned special judge via his order dated 11 September 2020. The learned judge specifically observed that Section 27A operated against her, and at this stage it was not possible to observe that her statement was recorded under coercion and hence was inadmissible. Okay. The learned judge referred to Section 37 of NDPS Act. He also referred to recovery of commercial quantity of LSD from accused Anuj Keshwani. It was further observed that the investigation was at a preliminary stage, and from the available record, it could not be said that there were no reasonable grounds to connect the applicant or accused. According to learned judge, bar under Section 37 of NDPS Act operated, and therefore she was not entitled for release on बेल, हमें यहाँ पता चल जाता है कि उसकी बेल एप्लीकेशन हो गई थी रिजेक्ट। तो जी ये तो था रिया चक्रवर्ती, ये तो था एनसीबी की तरफ से जो जो एफिडेविट में कहा गया या फिर जो जो चीजें मेंशन करी गई। अब हम आते हैं सबमिशंस ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ रिया चक्रवर्ती। ठीक है, this would be brutal, I'm very sure, and the difference would be there. NY Traveler, I get it, I understand, but let's give a little benefit of doubt to NCB. I'm not saying completely, but a little, because this document is dated October 2020. ये बहुत initials का time है जहाँ पे सुशांत का नाम लेके, I mean, the investigation was still at a preliminary stage, right? So at a later stage, we don't know. In the further documents, they might have redacted the name or they might have completely changed the version. If they have not, then NCB should be taken for a ride. But let's go through the rest of the document first. Okay, it's a long document. We have to be patient with this. Okay. Submissions on behalf of Thai. Let's go through it. Following are the submissions made by Mr. Mane Shinde. Okay. Okay. Mr. Mane Shinde basically submitted that no contraband was recovered from Rhea. She cannot be connected with recovery of any commercial quantity of any contraband. She cannot be connected even with an intermediate quantity of any contraband. At the highest, there are allegations that she was connected with the offense because she helped in procuring drugs for personal consumption by Sushant Singh Rajput. There was nothing to show that such consumption, allegedly facilitated by the present applicant, exceeded small quantity of contraband. Blah 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 blah. Okay. हम बस यहाँ पे मेन इनके वो पढ़ेंगे क्योंकि ये रिया की तरफ से है, मतलब माने शिंदे का है. डू यू वांट टू गो थ्रू द माने शिंदे वन पॉइंट बाय पॉइंट और सीबीआई एनसीबी का ही देखना है? चलो. Mr. Mane Shinde further submitted that Anuj Keshwani has no connection with the applicant or her brother Shovik Chakraborty. Therefore, recovery effected from him cannot be held as a circumstance against the present applicant. Mr. Mane Shinde pointed out that even as per NCB's case, Sushant Singh Rajput was the only consumer of drugs in the house. How can he say that? Even as per NCB's case, SSR was the only consumer of drugs in the house. All hail Narcotics Control Bureau. All hail Narcotics Bureau. माने शिंदे ने क्या बोला है? He pointed out NCB का point कि as per NCB's case. ठीक है. There were 4 others staying with SSR from March to June 2020, namely Dipesh Sawant, Samuel Miranda, one Neeraj who was a cook, and one Pitani who was a jo pita nahi. Sushant Singh Rajput's phone was not collected, hence one material link is missing. Now the biggest question is, how can you go ahead or how can you not collect even his phone जहाँ पे उसका नाम 5 लोग बैठ के ले रहे हैं कि हम उसके लिए ड्रग्स ले रहे थे? What did you guys do? Why was Sushant's phone not collected? Family Mubina is very much fighting against these allegations. हमने आपको ये भी सुनाया था ना कि समीर वानखेड़े जी ने बहुत क्लियरली कह दिया था कि हमने ऐसा कुछ नहीं बोला है. अभी भी हमने एनसीबी का कोई ऐसा डॉक्यूमेंट नहीं देखा है जहाँ पे एनसीबी या स्पेसिफिकली समीर वानखेड़े ने कुछ ऐसा बोला हो. दे हैव आउटराइट डिनाइड. उन्होंने मैंने वो वीडियो शेयर करी थी, इफ यू गाइज वुड रिमेंबर, जहाँ पे we did talk about the fact that wherein he simply said, we have never mentioned anybody's name who is taking drugs. But यहाँ पे माने शिंदे कह रहा है कि as per NCB's case, अब I don't know if NCB challenged this sentence or not, this clause or not. If they haven't, then we know what's happening, right? But the sad part is that we do not have, I think we need to get into all the documents for all the bail pleas or court orders that has been released in public. Any lawyer here and also the one who has been helping me out, Please look into it. If any other court order is available, we need to get it. We need to understand NCB's play here. It was not NCB's case that SSR became addicted to drugs only after only after Rhea came in his life. Again, ये एनसीबी पे खेल गया कि एनसीबी ने ये नहीं कहा था कि सुशांत ओनली गॉट एडिक्टेड आफ्टर रिया केम इनटू हर लाइफ. मतलब एनसीबी ने ये कहीं मेंशन किया नहीं. इसका मतलब ये इनडायरेक्टली बताना चाह रहे हैं कि एज पर एनसीबी आल्सो रिया आई मीन एसएसआर वाज एडिक्टेड प्रायर टू रिया. According to Mr. Manishinde, there was material to show that he was already addicted to drugs. The affidavit and reply of the respondent, which happens to be NCB, at the highest, shows that the applicant had spent about 27,000. There was nothing to show that such money was actually used for procuring drugs. यहाँ पे NCB ने एक अच्छी चीज करी, जहाँ पे NCB के एफिडेविट में ये लिखा गया, जो रिस्पोंडेंट है, at the highest shows that the application that Rhea had spent 27,000, but there is nothing to show that such money was actually used for procuring drugs. The contraband was not seized from Sushant Singh Rajput's house, and there is no trace of any such delivery of contraband. ये चीज NCB ने mention जरूर करी है. ठीक है, ये चीज NCB ने mention करी है. It is in front of you right here. There was सबसे पहले तो उन्होंने ये बोल दिया, there was nothing to show कि कोई पैसे यूज हुए हैं या फिर procuring drugs from Sushant's end, and there was no contraband which was also, मतलब कोई contraband भी नहीं मिला सुशांत के घर पे. तो एक चीज ये अच्छी करी. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Manishinde submitted that Sushant Singh Rajput was financially sound. He was residing in his own house. Therefore, by no stretch of imagination can it be said that that Rhea harbored him or that she gave him shelter. Okay. According to Manishinde, at the highest, the applicant's role, Rhea's role, was not of an abettor in the main offense of consumption. In case of consumption of small quantity, the consumer can be granted immunity. Therefore, the abettor in such cases cannot be punished more severely. यहाँ पे तो openly कह रहे हैं कि भाई किया है, कम मात्रा में किया है, जो करना है कर लो, इसमें तो immunity मिल जाती है. Lastly, Mr. Manishinde submitted that NCB had no authority to conduct the investigation in this case, as the order passed by the Honorable Supreme Court transferring the case involving death of Sushant Singh Rajput to CBI, जिनका मुंह कभी खुलता ही नहीं है, जिनका मुंह कभी खुलता ही नहीं है. NY Traveler, Rhea can certainly not harbor SSR, but it was being mentioned by NCB itself that Rhea was harboring SSR in terms of taking drugs and things like those. That was the kind of case which was built. Okay. Submissions on behalf of investigating agency respondent number 1, that happens to be NCB respondent. As against the arguments advanced by Mr. Oh, I'm sorry, this would be. Chalo, let's read. As against the arguments advanced by Mr. Manishinde, learned ASG. Oh, it's the ASG who has made the submission. I don't know legal aspect में ये कौन होते हैं, but कोई important ही होंगे. So made his Attorney General to nahi hai, made his submissions on facts based on the affidavit filed on behalf of respondent number 1. He relied on the facts mentioned in the affidavit, which are reproduced here and above, to contend that all the serious offences are made out against the present applicant, which is Rhea, and therefore she is not entitled to be released on bail. The learned ASG strenuously made his submissions on various aspects of law, which I shall deal with when I discuss those questions of law. Okay. That is the... Submitted that the contention of Mr. Manishinde that NCB was not authorized to conduct investigation is not correct. जो Manishinde ने ये चीज बोली वो correct नहीं है. And according to learned ASG, the investigation in this case was entirely on a different subject matter. Consumption of drugs by Sushant Singh Rajput was only one of the angles of entire investigation, and that angle was totally unconnected with his death. So, Additional Solicitor General has accepted that consumption of drugs by Sushant Singh Rajput was only one of the angles of entire investigation, and that angle was totally unconnected with his death. So इसका जो पहला पार्ट है वो एकदम ही बोगस है, और जो दूसरा पार्ट है वो एकदम ही fact है. He submitted that the court will have to look at the totality of the case. Excuse me. The drug abuse has to be controlled and stopped in every field. People have to be encouraged to maintain blah 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 blah. Okay. Learned जो भी बोलते हैं इसे solicitor general या whatever submitted that this investigation is started by arrest of Abbas Lakhani, who was totally unconnected with Sushant Singh Rajput. If he was totally unconnected with Sushant Singh Rajput, अब यार ये गाइस थोड़ा सा तुम्हें लग रहा है अब्बास लखानी का जहां जहां नाम आ रहा है एनसीबी के एनसीबी के स्टेटमेंट्स में, उनके आर्टिकल्स में, दिस गाय इज नेम्ड एज सुशांत सिंह राजपूत's फ्रेंड. This guy is Abbas Lakhani is said to be one of the people who was a part of the pro team along with others. But ASG भी acknowledge कर रहे हैं कि Lakhani who was totally unconnected with SSR. Okay. थोड़ा सा strange. According to learned ASG, the youth of this country look at their role models and blah blah blah, and when they're involved in such offenses, they should be punished severely so that it would be. Rhea कहाँ से role model हो गई यार? Learned ASG relied on statements of objects and reasons of the main act and its subsequent amendments. He also relied on interpretation of the Honorable Supreme Court, in many cases emphasizing the objects and reasons of the act. He submitted that as of today, 20 accused are arrested and they are all interlinked with each other. According to learned ASG, recovery of contraband was not an absolute requirement for proceeding with investigation and prosecuting the accused. Okay. यहाँ पे रीजनिंग दी हुई है. As Mr. Manish Shinde has raised the basic issue as to whether NCB was competent to conduct this investigation, this issue needs to be decided first. According to Mr. Manish Shinde, the Honorable Supreme Court has transferred the investigation related to Sushant Singh Rajput's death to CBI. Mr. Manish Shinde's contention is that all of the cases registered in connection with that incident are required to be transferred to CBI, and that CBI alone was proper agency who could have investigated the subject matter of this investigation conducted by NCB. Mr. Manish Shinde relied on the directions given by Honorable Supreme Court in the case of Rhea Chakraborty versus State of Bihar. As I told you people, it's a state case. Okay, it's a state case. It's not Rhea Chakraborty versus Priyanka Singh or KK Singh or anything like that. It's a state of Bihar case. That's the reason a lawyer is not required until and unless the agency themselves steps forward and tells something or goes ahead and lays out something which the family doesn't approve to. That is when the lawyer would come into play. Okay. Decision of Honorable Supreme Court dated this. In such backdrop, to ensure public confidence in the investigation and to do complete justice in the matter, this court considers it appropriate to invoke the powers conferred by Article 142 of the Constitution. अच्छा, नहीं पढ़ना हमें civics. If any other case is registered on the death of the actor Sushant Singh Rajput and the surrounding circumstances of his unnatural death, the CBI is directed to investigate the new case as well. It is ordered accordingly. And I don't think that they are investigating Disha Salyan case. On the other hand, learned ASG strongly urged that the Honorable Supreme Court has directed that the CBI should investigate any other case registered on the death of actor Sushant Singh Rajput and the surrounding circumstances of his unnatural death. According to learned ASG, the present investigation does not relate to the death of Sushant Singh Rajput, and it does not even relate to the surrounding circumstances of his unnatural death. पढ़ लो मित्रों, पढ़ लो. जो एनसीबी के दी हुई हड्डियों से इतना खुश होते थे ना, जो इतना हैप्पी हो जाते थे, oh my god, NCB is working, NCB is is someone who would take us to the road of justice. They would give you shit served on a hot plate of sizzler. Pardon my French, but that is the reality. Okay, so it's clearly mentioned by the ASG himself that the present investigation does not relate to the death of Sushant Singh Rajput, and it does not even relate to the surrounding circumstances of his unnatural death. ठीक है, तो आप एनसीबी से खुश होना आप बंद कर दें। अगर आपको ड्रग्स में इंटरेस्ट है तो आप एनसीबी 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 करते रहें। आगे बढ़ते हैं। He also submitted that the investigation in this case has started after secret information was received and the first person, namely Abbas Lakhani, was arrested. The investigation led to various disclosures and recoveries. Consumption of drugs by Sushant Singh Rajput was only one part of the investigation. The investigation ran deep into uncovering a chain of illicit traffic in drugs. ठीक है? नहीं यार, I won't call NCB fraud because they are doing their job. It's just us who had made. Okay, let me clarify this. Okay, I really want to clarify this before we proceed further. See, people, NCB ने कुछ गलत नहीं किया है। एनसीबी ने अपना केस, अपना काम किया है, वो जैसे करते हैं। उनको जो जो स्टेटमेंट्स मिले उन्होंने वैसा वैसा केस बनाया और ले सामने रख दिया कोर्ट के कि ये रहा जी। हम क्या कर रहे थे, अरे एनसीबी ने तो दीपेश सावंत को अरेस्ट किया है, अरे एनसीबी ने तो सैमुअल मिरांडा को अरेस्ट किया। अरे मैं बता रहा हूँ ना, सिद्धार्थ पिठानी अंदर एनसीबी ऑफिस में ठुक रहा है और वो सीबीआई वाली बातें बता रहा है, वो मर्डर से रिलेटेड बातें बता रहा है। हम ये एक्सपेक्ट करने लग गए कि अगर सैमुअल मिरांडा, दीपेश सावंत, रिया चक्रवर्ती, सिद्धार्थ पिठानी ये सारे अरेस्ट हो रहे हैं तो वो वहां पे उनसे क्वेश्चनिंग अंदर मर्डर के ऊपर हो रही होगी। सॉरी, दैट वाज नॉट हैपनिंग। But exactly, Farah, we put too much hopes. We over expected. And we need to face the reality. We need to face the mirror ourselves. It was us जिन्होंने काफी ऐसे नॉन रेलेवेंट आइडियल्स, सो कॉल्ड आइडल्स एंड नॉन रेलेवेंट चीजों को बहुत ऊंचा दर्जा दिया और बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस दी, जिस वजह से जो मर्डर केस है वो बैक ट्रैक होता गया। And just because NCB was doing its work in terms of like arresting people related to the drug angle, हम ये खुश हो रहे थे जस्टिस हैज स्टार्टेड टू वर्क। ओ माय गॉड, समीर वानखेड़े सर, आपने जस्टिस दिखा दिया, दिला दिया हमें ऑलमोस्ट जस्टिस, जस्टिस मिल रहा है, जस्टिस मिल रहा है। डिवाइन जस्टिस है कि सिद्धार्थ पिठानी अभी भी अंदर है, ऐश कर रहा है वो। ड्रग्स के केस में अंदर होकर किसकी पिटाई होती है या किसकी थर्ड डिग्री होती है, ये बताना मुझे। Just tell me one thing. Who gets a third degree torture if they are inside for drugs? Nobody. And do you really think that NCB would have like spare time to go and ask, hey, murder का बता देना रे, बताना, बताना, बता देना। एंड हम हो गए खुश कि लो भाई, एनसीबी, जब भी हम सीबीआई पे प्रेशर डाले, ओ एनसीबी हैज गॉन लाइक फुल ऑन मोड, जस्टिस मोड, सिंघम आ गए हैं, सिंघम आ गए। चलो आगे बढ़े। In my opinion, the contentions raised by learned ASG will have to be accepted. The subject matter of the investigation conducted by the NCB is different. It started after receipt of information and after arrest of Abbas Lakhani. During the course of this investigation, incidentally, it was found that Sushant Singh Rajput used to procure drugs. For that purpose, many others helped him. This investigation led to arrest of many other dealers in illicit traffic of drugs who are unconnected with the death of Sushant Singh Rajput. In this view of the matter, I do not find any force in the submissions of Mr. Manishinde that NCB is not empowered to investigate into this offense, which is totally different subject matter. Huh. Okay. Since this is an application for bail in respect of offences punishable under the NDPS Act, the provisions of the Act are required to be considered carefully. The bail provisions under the NDPS Act are mentioned under Section 37 of the Act, section whatever. ठीक है? हाँ, यहाँ पे बताया गया है क्या क्या, what kind of, I mean, law के बारे में जो भी है। Okay. Two conditions: there should be reasonable grounds for believing that applicant is not guilty of such offense. Okay, इनकी bail के बारे में यहाँ पे decision चल रहा है रिया चक्रवर्ती की. Public prosecutor to oppose the application for such release. The other twin conditions: the satisfaction of the court that there are reasonable grounds for believing that the accused is not guilty of the alleged offense and that he is not likely to commit any offense while on bail have to be satisfied. Okay. Oh, मजा आ रही है? हाँ? कैसा लग रहा है? नारकोटिक्स कंट्रोल ब्यूरो बोलते थे ना, डे 1 से बोलते थे ना, हड्डियां फेंकी जा रही है, मत लो. I need to decide following questions in this application: whether the offences alleged against the applicant are bailable. Okay, if the offences are non-bailable, then as to whether rigors mentioned in this act are applicable. Okay. The applicant, I mean Tai, has vehemently contended that the allegations at the highest show that the offence is a bailable offence and the applicant could not have been detained in custody since the applicant was ready and willing to furnish the bail. Okay. This issue is important and therefore I am examining this issue in detail in support of his contention that the offences this involving small quantities are bailable. Mr. Manishinde relied on a judgment of a single judge of this court in the case of Stephen Mueller versus jo inhone precedence diya. In this case, it was held that the offences involving small quantities of contraband were bailable offences. तो इन्होंने बहुत सिंपल सा एक प्रेसिडेंस लगा दिया कि रिया चक्रवर्ती के पास से तो कुछ प्रोक्योर हुआ नहीं है. उसका जस्ट नाम आया है, तो वी जस्ट नीड टू, इट्स अ बेलेबल ऑफेंस. और उन्होंने बहुत क्लियरली बोला कि ये बेलेबल है. शुरू में इट गॉट डिफिकल्ट फॉर हर टू गेट बेल, बट एट अ लेटर स्टेज शी डिड गेट बेल. ओके, आगे बढ़ते हैं. The learned judge has observed that since the legislature has not declared specifically under Section 37 that all the offences under the Act shall be non-bailable, the provisions are this. Okay. In this view of aforesaid reasoning, it is necessary to consider this question in a little more detail. Talking about the act, the offence, the legal thing about what these acts are and how it's bailable or non-bailable or things like those. Okay. I'm just trying to see reasons. The narcotic drugs, drug trafficking offenses. They're talking about a cabinet being formed to fight this and all. No person accused of an offense punishable for a term of imprisonment. Okay. एनसीबी एक्ट पूरा समझाया हुआ है यहाँ पे, तो इसलिए आई एम स्किपिंग दिस बिकॉज दिस वोंट हेल्प अस. अगेन प्रेसिडेंस दिया है. In my opinion, the situation is completely clarified by a constitution. Okay. Prior to passing of NDPS Act, कितना लिखते हैं यार लॉयर लोग. The Honorable Supreme Court has further observed that. अच्छा, इन्होंने सुप्रीम कोर्ट की भी वो छाप दिया यहाँ पे. ओके. कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट का इन ड्रग्स और इन रूल्स के बारे में क्या क्या कहना है एंड थिंग्स लाइक दोस. इज इट रियली रिक्वायर्ड? इतनी बैकिंग देनी पड़ती है क्या? ओके. इन केस ऑफ लक्ष्मी देवी वर्सेस स्टेट बिहार. दूसरे केसेस बीच में क्यों डाल रखे हैं? कितने प्रेसिडेंट्स? अच्छा, प्रेसिडेंट्स पे प्रेसिडेंट्स दिए हैं. दैट्स व्हाट अ लॉयर डज. नाइस. तो इन्होंने एक छोटा सा, सबसे पहले एक छोटा प्रेसिडेंस दिया, उसके बाद इन्होंने बैक टू बैक ऐसे प्रेसिडेंसेस दे दिए जहां पे बेल मिली है. And with the things proper to arrest a person, this is provided under Section 42D. Interplay between Sections 27A and 37. Okay. A simple sentence that rigors will apply to official quantity. I mean, yeah, it is like kind of giving references of the case. Like, like ऐसा कोई केस हुआ था, उसमें ऐसी रूलिंग आई थी, तो इसमें भी ऐसी रूलिंग आनी चाहिए. So these are just references, like precedents भी बोलते हैं. Okay, so there we go. अब इतने बड़े डॉक्यूमेंट में बस उतना सा ही, ऐसे थोड़ी चलेगा. कॉपी पेस्ट करती है एनसीबी. नहीं, ये तो कोर्ट का ऑर्डर है यार. ये एनसीबी ने नहीं लिखा है, ये कोर्ट का ऑर्डर है जिसमें हमने एनसीबी का पार्ट पढ़ा, माने शिंदे का पार्ट पढ़ा. अभी आगे देखते हैं. Okay. Financing purchase activities. Scheme Section A. Thus, the aim was not to control causing problems of abuse. The legislature wanted to attack the basic cause of illicit traffic of drugs. अब यहाँ पे इन्होंने ये बता दिया कि financing is not defined under the act. The concise Oxford Dictionary defines the word finance as the management, money, monetary support for an enterprise. अच्छा, अब ये डिक्शनरी समझाएंगे ये. ओके, चलो, मतलब कुछ ज़्यादा नहीं हो रहा अभी. टाडा. ओके, हार्बरिंग का जो यूज किया एनसीबी ने वर्ड, ये the word harboring was not even was not even defined in Tada. Okay, there are two hurdles away to be that. Okay, अबे आ जाओ ना केस पे वापस. टाडा कहाँ चले गए भाई? कौन आतंकवादी? टेररिस्ट एक्ट किस पे लग रहा है? ओके, FIR Limited NDPS Act. Okay, the person who is charged with harboring that main offender should have supplied him with shelter, food, etc. And then the next requirement is that the second person should have done this to prevent the main offender's apprehension. In the present case, no criminal case or FIR was pending against Sushant Singh Rajput. He was residing in his own house and was spending for his own food and other necessities, and also ताई का घर चला रहा था वो. He was residing in his own. Okay. At that point of time, he had no apprehension of any arrest. Therefore, the act on the part of applicant cannot be stretched to attract the allegation of harboring Sushant Singh Rajput. तो यहाँ पे ये बताया जा रहा है कि एप्लीकेंट ने जो एलिगेशन लगाया है ऑफ एप्लीकेंट पे जो वो लगा हुआ है एलिगेशन हार्बरिंग का, दैट कैन नॉट बी डन बिकॉज सुशांत वाज प्रोवाइडिंग फॉर हिमसेल्फ. Another important word in this is engage. अच्छा, यहाँ पे फिर वर्ड बता रहे हैं. क्या नाटक है जो केस समझा रहे हैं. Okay. In this context, Mr. Manishinde and Mr. Syed relied on the judgment of a single judge of High Court of Kerala in the case of KK Ashraf. Of that order and financing was discussed. Okay, किसी और केस में financing discuss हुई थी, उसको यहाँ पे mention किया है. Submitted that interpretation of harboring and financing is sought to be made by respondent number. I agree with Mr. Syed on this point. Cannot be interpreted in this manner. Therefore, Section 27A will have to be interpreted harmoniously with other sections. I'm unable to agree with the submission that giving money to another for consuming drug would mean encouraging such habit and would mean financing or harboring. तो यहाँ पे एक चीज आई है निकल के दोस्तों और मित्रों कि रिया चक्रवर्ती के अकाउंट से पैसे निकले हैं और ये बोला जा रहा था कि रिया चक्रवर्ती ने जो पैसे निकाल के ड्रग्स लिए हैं वो ड्रग्स दिए जा रहे थे सुशांत को. दैट्स द रीजन हार्बरिंग का एक पॉइंट उठा. ओके, the allegations and material against the present applicant are that on some occasions she had used her own money in procuring drugs. See, this is what I just said. She facilitated procuring of drugs through her brother. For that purpose, employees of Sushant Singh Rajput were also used. As discussed earlier, her acts would not fall under Section 27A of the NDPS Act. The main section which could be attracted in her case is violation of Section 8C of the NDPS Act, which is made punishable under the so and so section. In that case, it is necessary for the investigating agency to show that her activities or contravention involved commercial quantity of a narcotic drug or psychotropic substance. The investigation did not reveal any recovery either from the applicant or from the house of Sushant Singh Rajput. It is their own case that the drugs were already consumed and hence there was no recovery. Okay, so the court acknowledges the fact that there was no procurement from SSR's house. So, correct, let's proceed. The learned ASG had argued that the celebrities and role models should be treated harshly so that it sets an example for the young generation and they do not get encouraged to commit such offenses. I do not agree. Everybody is equal before law. No celebrity or role model enjoys any special privilege before the court of law. Okay, ये तो सबको मालूम है. The learned special judge has observed that Rhea may alert others and evidence can be destroyed by them. There is no basis of such observation. It is also important to note that when Rhea was produced before the court for her first remand, the investigating agency did not seek her custody. सुन रहे हो? It is also important to note that when the applicant, I mean, when Rhea Chakraborty was produced before the court for her first remand, the investigating agency, which is NCB, did not seek her custody. That means they are satisfied with her interrogation and she had cooperated in that investigation. Based on all this discussion, the bail application is allowed. However, considering the background of the case, stringent conditions are imposed. Hence, I passed the following order. Order में इन्होंने बेल को बेल दे दी, ठीक है? Dude, how well they have played it out here. How well they have played it out. This sickens me. तो ये था आपका डॉक्यूमेंट. मैं लिंक दे रहा हूँ साथियों मित्रों. मैं जानता हूँ आज ज़्यादा लोग हैं नहीं. जिस दिन काम की चीज़ें होती है उस दिन पीपल वुड नॉट वांट टू जॉइन क्योंकि आज कुछ मसाला नहीं था. आज सिर्फ फैक्ट्स पे बात थी. और टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट एनसीबी हैज़ बीन डूइंग विद अस. बट इससे पहले कि वी स्टार्ट जजिंग अगेन इंक्लूडिंग मी, I would just simply mention कि इस document के according there are places wherein NCB did say that they do not have any procurement from SSR's house. They do not have any solid proof that SSR was consuming drugs. It has been mentioned a couple of places, but the reason why the bail was allowed is because of the fact वो मेंशन भी किया वहां पे कि this is just being allowed because when Rhea was presented in the court for the first time, the agency did not challenge or did not ask for further custody. It seemed that they were satisfied. It seemed that they were certainly satisfied with whatever was being done. Or it seemed that Rhea was cooperating with NCB. So दोस्तों मित्रों भाइयों बहनों सबके सब, मेरा एक बहुत important point है. See, NCB could have challenged things, but maybe again we need to give that benefit of doubt that this document is dated October 2020, October 2020. So let's not jump the gun. Let's wait and let's try to find maybe some other piece of document, maybe which is released in the most recent times. So Samir Wankhede is Samir Wankhede being moved from the case because he made life a bit harder for Bollywood? Devsmita, Samir Wankhede has already been moved, and uh, अब exact reason तो समीर वानखेड़े ही बता पाएंगे, but yeah, he has already been moved. So I would just say कि let's look out for more documents like these. Maybe we get to see something new, but at least now, for God's sake, it's my request, stop getting happy when NCB comes out with something that is not Am I audible now? Am I audible? Arinya or Ayush, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
now
yes.
we can.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I hate Kejriwal. It happens with me though. I don't know क्या दुश्मनी है उसे, but ठीक है. So the one thing that I was saying is that there are questions, there are things that NCB could have avoided in this particular document, is what I feel. Uh, let's begin with you, Arinya. How are you? How are you doing today?
I'm good. Om Namah Shivaya. And I just joined about a little 10 minutes before this and happened to see you, and I was hearing about this. I just want to say a couple of points, Bharat. This is as per my experience with the criminal codes. I know it's very time consuming, but solid evidence in civil or criminal is the most important. It's the primary, and it's nobody can negate that. So,
Hmm.
another thing, before I go ahead, I just wanted to tell you, yesterday I was not the one to broach about anything which happened in the past using my DP display with whatever nudity those two ladies have circulated. So I was a little, with due respect to Mrs. Sharon,
I guess I cannot hear you. Are
if
you
they
on?
are going to agree, if they no, I just wanted to tell that
Hmm.
let it go. If he's hearing, I have a lot of respect for him, but he shouldn't have said whatever he said yesterday. I just wanted to make it clear, because I'm least bothered. If I was so bothered, I wouldn't be coming and fighting for SSR's justice. So I didn't broach. It was he who gave very sarcastic, indirect remarks. I didn't expect that kind from Sharon. But anyway, bygones is bygones. And I just, about regarding SSR's justice and
Hmm.
his drugs and the Rhea, this topic, I just would want to say that it'll boomerang, because over there, very conveniently, the postmortem, they quickly made it up, thinking it's, it'll be just shut the whole thing. Remember, there was one video I was telling when you were with Style Rung Blaze. It clearly showed around 9:30 about a dozen cops in Mount Black. Because I was screaming and I was talking about it, they coolly removed that video. But few of us had seen. There was another lad who came on your show and who gave you, I forget his name. So the same day, same hour, I went and checked, and it was there. The about a dozen cops entering Mount Blanc, and these guys were like, the constables and all were saluting the main guy who came. We clearly saw and we heard the dog barking in the first floor, where Pitani and all these guys were in the backside. And when the camera moved, they went into that room. So there were strong evidences. I'm sure somebody would have this video. So
You
when they
won't,
when
no, no,
they
no, no, no. You won't call that an evidence of fudge being there. I know people talked about, like children playing in the vicinity, बच्चों की आवाज तो maybe minors होंगे. Then there was a dog barking, तो maybe fudge होगा. It could be any dog. It could be any minor playing in the vicinity, because they do. So I mean, it's pretty much, you're talking about the video which is from the back gate, जहाँ पे लोग बोलते हैं कि वो Dino Moria है, the guy with the bun, and Siddharth Patani was there. When the camera pointed towards them, they just walked inside. So I mean, that was the back gate. I mean, that's definitely suspicious, but I don't agree with the fact कि वो जो
Bharat,
dog
one
है वो
second. But Bharat, one second. No, the video I'd seen, which is not there now, it was the entry was from the front gate Mount Blanc. I clearly saw the embedded alphabets on the gate, everything. It was not the back gate. So over there, when this particular reporter went close to the gate, the dog barking was very clearly from inside, and I couldn't hear any kids. And more than anything, I just wanted to know, you've been there to Mont Blanc many times. I think even
Hmm.
Freeze went and a few people went. And I think Sonia Raina went and she checked. It's a 6 floors plus one, whatever the terrace, the duplex which Sushant had. And if I can remember, it had A block and B block. The whole complex was like that, but not a single soul was seen in any of the floors. And when she went ahead and did her spade work, Sonia Raina, she said that on the other channel that everything was empty except that there was
Let's
one
refrain.
person who
Okay,
entered.
okay. Aranya, sorry to cut you in between.
Yeah.
Let's refrain from taking anybody, any other YouTuber's name or any other channel, whatever
No,
happened
I'm not
anywhere.
taking. I'm not taking the YouTube. I said she clearly showed the document where sixth and seventh was occupied by SSR. Okay, we all know that he was drugged and Rhea took that, and it was Amir Khan's relative, and that
Hmm.
Dil Chahta movie. So basically, that building is given for shoots because that's a higher income. And then see, I know this because I've been in this advertising field. I know what kind of money they earn per day.
Hmm.
So over here what happens is the rest of the time they planned, because the Khatri was there, so they wanted to peddle drugs from there and make money by inducing drugs into Sushant and keeping him asleep. So they carried on this after they moved in. And during the COVID times they went ahead for whatever reasons, and they wanted to push this theory of his depression and all. They were working simultaneously on both sides. It's
Hmm.
definitely the professional jealousies that he was just shining in every movie. So these were there, and then because Sushant being Sushant, he never wanted to stoop low to their kind of levels for all these nonsense, whatever was happening, these criminalities and all that. So, and this great lady, she comes in and loots him, and she allows the others to loot till the last penny. And
Hmm.
ED also did not do any justice. We are just thinking about NCB. Everybody has been controlled by the Maharashtra government, all the agencies. How come? It's because it's Ambani's case, all that happened, NIA, we are all like, restless, helpless, and every day we are charging ourselves, energizing and coming in. We're talking only positively, Bharat. Earlier also I said you agreed, yes, we need to be optimistic. So in
Yeah.
this case, trust me, the cosmic power is playing. If they're going to say, the NCB, that Sushant was a druggie which pushed him towards suicide, then what about the
Hmm.
post-mortem? As it is, so many people have done the forensic report. It's a botched up. Those 5 dogs are missing. You also have come out with excellent reports on their signatures to everything. Where are they placed? The dogs, why are they missing? And Cooper itself will lose its license. But because the powerful people are they, so they are doing their best. The very act of drama when Lata Mangeshkar, she passed away, so many of them whom we hate were seen over there morning. It's all again to show that Maharashtra had such a diamond. Okay, but basically we also know that it's a stunt for the elections coming. BJP one side, they're fighting hard, and these people. So this is like, it's so demeaning for us to see their games and all. Okay, fine. But justice has to come. What about Cooper? When finally, sometime, if not now, next year or something, charge sheet has to be done. So when a charge sheet has to be done in NCB or in ED or in CBI, all these
Hmm.
charge sheets will be it's a combined thing where finally the judgments are made. It's not individually. So the main thing, CBI we're coming, that's the reason they're pushing suicide, 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 and we're not agreeing, because all these whatever I mean mistakes, great mistakes they've committed, they want to cover it up with only that suicide. Murder means everything comes out. So that's the reason we are stuck and are helpless. But I guess more power, more efforts from all of us, and complete bashing of everybody, not only Bollywood, even these politicians. Fearlessly, we need to go and we'll get it one day. I'm sure about it. But trust me that Sushant is druggy. No, they cannot come out with it that he was a druggie, because Cooper will. It'll boomerang with the results of postmortem. I know in court of law, Anybody will say, any even lower court lawyer will agree. There's a basic principle. That's all I had to say, Bharat. Thank you very much. Carry on.
You're welcome. Well, I just like to mention a couple of things before we proceed further to VD. Uh, is the fact that whosoever says कि Mount Blanc में सिर्फ fifth or sixth floor ही occupied था and बाकी के floors नहीं थे, I don't trust them. Okay, until and unless I have seen it myself or I have known that information myself. So I don't trust that information at all. Second, uh, if you say, see, drug angle, Sushant being connected to drug or Sushant being related to drug, this has been one of the biggest diversions that has diverted us all from the murder angle and brought us all to the drug angle. Correct? That is what has happened. And
Absolutely, very true.
yeah.
Yes.
So NCB till this date, if you are aiming for the murder angle, if you are aiming for 302, if you are aiming for CBI to come out and speak, then NCB is your biggest diversion today. And that's what you need to cater to. So, again, uh, well put in words, Aranya. There are a couple of things that we might agree to disagree, but it's again, like all perspectives should be looked at because it gets important when such kind of a case is in the picture.
Yes, I
Moving.
totally agree with that, Bharat. And one more thing, since you've brought this, I wanted to clarify. Not once from any angle did we see anybody peeping from the same building where Sushant died. We saw the opposite people record and put it out in the media. But
Yep.
where did we see in that? Not a single soul peeping from any of those A block or B block, because behind where the cars were parked, the Range Rover and Sushant's and all those cars, you could see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 balconies. Not a soul was there in moving or
But
peeping. It is so strange, right?
Sanjana Batra ki car was parked there, and Sanjana Batra also stays in Mount Blanc only from quite a long time. So that discards the theory of Mount Blanc entire society being taken by these people. No, Sanjana Batra also used to stay there, and a couple of more personalities who are a part of Bollywood or the industry. So that's already out there in social media. Once you'll get into searching, you'll get to see. So again,
All
I
right.
mean, you have a point that nobody from Mount Blanc, from within the Mount Blanc, have taken a video or a picture or something like that. But we cannot be subjective about it. You never know. Someone might have taken it and someone might have not released it. Or someone might have not even cared to take it. Someone who might have or could have taken it might not have been present at that time. Could be n number of things, right?
But
It's
Bharat,
just a
isn't it? I'm sorry to interrupt. Isn't it strange that only Bollywood occupied that apartments? I mean, it's like very
you cannot
ironical for me.
you cannot judge something on the basis of that. Oh, there are a lot of vicinities and societies in Mumbai that I personally know, and everyone only from Bollywood are staying there. So I won't call it something to doubt upon. I know we are so emotionally attached to this particular case that we have started to like get into nicks and depths of anything and everything, but we have to also apply a logic. So I'm not saying that you are wrong. I'm saying that there are different various aspects to think from. Because अगर कोई बोलेगा कि माउंट ब्लैंक वाज एम्प्टी, किसी ने जाके करी है, चाहे वो एडवोकेट हो चाहे वो कोई हो, बट अगर आपने जाके करी है तो फिर संजना बत्रा कहाँ रह रही है इतने टाइम से जॉगर्स पार्क में? So I mean, there are information available on social media that discards such claims,
I
right? So
agree,
we need.
Bharat. I agree. My point is, when a superstar is like committed suicide and two ambulances and so many people entering, CCTV, all that, and it's a big, like he was paying 4.5 lakhs, so it's a very upbeat posh kind of thing. How come neighbors, even if they were not connected or not friendly, they know Sushant Singh Rajput is living? They would have peeped from those balconies to see what's happening, what is the stretcher going, so many people, two ambulances. we saw that video for quite some time, the opposite lady, when she covered it, but not a soul, what I have observed and many more have observed from those balconies. So you could be right, but this intrigues me that how come not a single a little one or an older person or a couple, anybody, nobody was peeping from that. That's all I wanted to say, my point. Bharat, thank you. I'll take leave now.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining in. All right. Moving on to VD. Thank you. How are you?
Very well, Bharat. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I was here, Bharat, just about the first part, about the 14th of February. Just a
Okay.
little about that. I was interested in being a part of it in Delhi.
Perfect. So you can connect with me on Twitter. If you are on Twitter or if you are in our Telegram group, you can connect me on Telegram as well. And we can go about discussing where would be meeting and how will
Yeah.
we take it
I
further.
know I'm not there on either of them. What do I do next?
Uh, you can you send me an email? I'll share my number with you over the email then.
I appreciate it. Let's do that.
I will be sending my email on the private chat. Wait a second.
So what I'll do is do you have a pen handy?
What? I'm sorry.
Do you have a pen handy?
I do have a pen, but I have already. If you check the private chat window, I have given my email there.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right.
I'll leave for now. I'll put it across.
Sure, certainly.
Thanks. All the best.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Thank you. Moving on, Rajesh Bhai, how are you?
हेलो नमस्कार भारत भाई, मैं बढ़िया हूँ, आप कैसे हो?
बढ़िया सर, थैंक यू सो मच। बताएं।
और नमस्कार आयुष भाई को भी।
नमस्कार।
भारत भाई आपने क्या कल ग्राउंड प्रोटेस्ट की कोई बात हुई थी क्या?
मैंने बोला है कि मैं 14 तारीख को सीबीआई ऑफिस के सामने जा रहा हूँ। मेरे पास कोई परमिशन नहीं है, मैं पहले ही क्लैरिफाई कर दूं। मेरे पास कोई परमिशन
ओके।
नहीं है, मैं कोई ऑर्गेनाइजर नहीं हूँ, बट अब जब नीड है तो नीड है बॉस। तो अगर मुझे अकेला पहुंचना पड़े मैं अकेला पहुंचूंगा, बट आई एम गोइंग। जरूरी है, अब
मैं
जरूरी है।
भारत भाई डेफिनेटली मैं भी ज्वाइन करूंगा, बस आप प्लीज मुझे एक बार डीएम कर देंगे तो बहुत अच्छा होगा जब आप जाओ, जब भी आप जाओ
ठीक है, ट्विटर
तो
पे
प्लीज मुझे कर देना। हाँ, एक्चुअली मैं फरीदाबाद में रहता हूँ तो मिनिमम या मोस्टली जो भी है 1 घंटा लगता है।
वो कोऑर्डिनेट
तो
कर लेंगे। ठीक, डन।
बिल्कुल।
चलो 2 लोग।
अच्छा,
अब मैं अकेला। हाँ जी
जी। अच्छा,
Yep.
मैं यहाँ एक बात पूछने भी आया हूँ, बोलने भी आया हूँ कि आपको क्या लगता है, आप और सभी को क्या लगता है कि आप 1% ये सोच लीजिए कि अगर एसएसआर केस में एनसीबी नहीं आती तो क्या होता? 1% मान लीजिए एनसीबी को आप। हाँ जी।
सीबीआई जैसे चुप है अभी तक, वैसे ही चुप रहती और एनसीबी नहीं आती। और हो सकता है कि हम जो एनसीबी से इतनी होप लगा लगा के आगे बढ़े, हम इतना आगे भी शायद नहीं बढ़ पाते।
नहीं,
हमने
यहाँ
चाहे
पे मैं
वो
आपको
गलत जगह, ठीक है, हमने एक्सपेक्ट किया कि एनसीबी अगर लोगों को अंदर कर रही है तो मे बी मर्डर एंगल भी इसी रीजन से निकल के आएगा। वो हमारी लैप्स ऑफ जजमेंट थी कि वी पुट आवर होप्स देयर डिस्पाइट ऑफ द फैक्ट दैट एनसीबी हैड नथिंग टू डू, या एनसीबी का मर्डर एंगल से कोई लेना देना नहीं है। वो सब करने के बाद नाउ व्हेन वी रियलाइज कि एनसीबी का जब कोई लेना देना ही नहीं है, तो अगर एनसीबी होती नहीं इस एंगल में, तो all we would have done is we would have just shut quiet. We would have just, a lot of them would have lost hopes already. So that is something which would have been inevitable, is what I would say.
नहीं, मैं यहाँ पे आपको बताता हूँ। देखिए, वो तो हमारा जो हम सोच रहे थे कि मर्डर में वो हेल्प करेगी, तो वो हमारी तो अब देखने के बाद सब कुछ लगता है कि हमारी गलतफहमी थी वो। बाकी वो अलग चीज है कि ड्रग्स में पकड़ा, वो ठीक है, जो मर्डर का कोई लेना देना नहीं था उसमें। तो मैं मेरा ये मानना है कि अगर एनसीबी नहीं आती ना, तो जैसे सीबीआई की मांग जब हुई थी उस टाइम पूरी हर किसी में ही पूरी आग लगी पड़ी थी जस्टिस के लिए। जब सीबीआई की मांग हुई थी तब
Yeah.
उस टाइम लोग सड़कों पर भी उतरे थे, डिजिटल भी आवाज उठ रही थी, और जितनी संख्या में अब आवाज उठ रही है आई थिंक उससे डबल था शायद उस टाइम। उसके अंदर मैंने
4
देखा था प्रोटेस्ट में जो है ग्राउंड प्रोटेस्ट में एक 80 इयर्स की बुजुर्ग महिला भी थी और एक 12-13 साल का बच्चा भी था। मतलब
Yep.
कि
Yep.
कहने का मतलब है कि बच्चे से लेके बुजुर्ग तक सबके सब मतलब इतना मतलब उसमें जोश था। तो अगर 1% मेरा ये मानना है एनसीबी नहीं आती ना, तो और ये जवाब अब जैसे इतना टाइम हो गया सीबीआई को आए हुए, तो अभी तक सीबीआई के ऊपर सारे के सारे लोग इतना प्रेशर बना देते कि उसको कुछ ना कुछ अपडेट देनी पड़ती और एटलीस्ट अभी तक चार्जशीट भी फाइल हो जाती अगर एनसीबी
Correct.
नहीं आती। मेरा मानना है, माई पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू ये है। ठीक है, तो जैसे बोलते हैं ना कि एक आग, जब आग को बुझाना हो तो क्या करना पड़ता है? आग को बुझाना हो तो पानी डालना पड़ता है। तो मेरे पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से वो काम एनसीबी ने किया। उस आग पे जो आग थी हमारे दिलों में, उसके ऊपर पानी डाल दिया। आई मीन उसको ठंडा कर दिया, मतलब कि हमें कि भाई
Correct.
ठीक है हम कर रहे हैं, मर्डर एंगल को भी देख रहे हैं। और हमने एक होप लगा ली थी जो आज या थोड़े दिन पहले जब ये खुलासा हुआ तो मेरा भी दिल टूटा बहुत, और मेरे जैसे कई एसएसआरियंस होंगे उनका भी दिल टूटा। तो मेरा मानना है कि एनसीबी ने जरूर ये गलत किया है ऐसा एसएसआर को लेके। बाकी और चीजों को नहीं मैं कह रहा कि उन्होंने कुछ वो करा, ठीक है उन्होंने अच्छी इंक्वायरी करी जो, लेकिन मर्डर हमें तो मेन तो मर्डर से मतलब है। और आज के डेट
Correct.
में सबसे जो अहम स्थिति ये है कि हमें ना हमारे माइंड में सिर्फ एक चीज होनी चाहिए इस टाइम, 302, दैट्स इट। हमारी मांग होनी चाहिए अभी 302 चाहिए हमारे को। सीबीआई आप 302 लगाओ, हमें
Correct.
ये प्रेशर बनाना पड़ेगा क्योंकि जब 302 लगेगा तभी ही इंक्वायरी आगे जाएगी, तभी हत्यारों को पकड़ने की कोशिश की जाएगी या उन्हें सजा होगी या जो भी होगा वो सब कुछ 302 के बाद होगा। तो सबसे पहले
Correct.
302 आती है। तो ये
Correct.
चीजें
और
हैं।
पॉइंट
जी
तुम्हारा ये
भरत भाई
सही है कि जब भी हमने सीबीआई पे प्रेशर डालने की कोशिश करी है, जो मेरा हमेशा से एक चीज मैंने मेंटेन करी है, जिसके लिए मैंने बहुत गालियां भी खाई है कि एनसीबी पे क्वेश्चन क्यों उठा रहे हो, उन लोग तो कर रहे हैं काम, सिर्फ एनसीबी है जो काम कर रही है। अरे बॉस, वो वो ड्रग्स के लिए काम कर रही है, वो ड्रग पेडलर्स को पकड़ रही है जिनका मर्डर से कोई लेना देना भी नहीं है। इट्स लाइक जो स्टेट्स में बैठे हैं, इट्स लाइक डीईए ऑफ यूएसए। So
बिल्कुल।
one thing that we need to understand is why are we stressing upon NCB so much since day one? हमें बस ये मिल गया कि ओके एनसीबी एक है जो ये रियाज शोविक, सैमुअल मिरांडा, दीपेश सावंत, सिद्धार्थ पठानी, इन लोगों से बात कर रही है, तो क्या ड्रग्स के मामले में कर रही है ना। एंड ऐसा तो नहीं है कि एनसीबी ने डे वन से बोला नहीं कि ड्रग्स एंगल का मर्डर से कोई लेना देना नहीं है। ये तो समीर वानखेड़े ने डे वन पे बहुत क्लियरली बोल दिया था। तो हम किस बात की एक्सपेक्टेशंस लगा के बैठे हैं? हम
एग्जैक्टली यहाँ पे आपने अच्छा पॉइंट पकड़ा।
The problem is us. I have been saying this from day one. The problem is us. We create some imaginary world around things कि okay, this is the agency, ये ना, ये एनसीबी है। चाहे एनसीबी है तो क्या हुआ, समीर वानखेड़े है यार, ऐसा ऑफिसर एक बार देखने को मिलता है। मैं 100% बोल रहा हूँ ये मर्डर तो सॉल्व कर देगा। डूड, मर्डर इज नॉट हिज फोर्टे, सिंपल एज दैट। ब्रजेश,
आपने
एनी?
शायद एक न्यूज,
हाँ जी,
हाँ
बताओ।
एक बात और, आपने शायद सुना एक न्यूज आई थी कि जिसमें ये बोला गया था कि सीबीआई ने एनसीबी को हेल्प किया अपना ड्रग्स के रिलेटेड। भैया एंड सीबीआई, जो काम सीबीआई का नहीं है एनसीबी का है, उसमें तो सीबीआई ने उस केस में उनको हेल्प कर दी। और जो उनका मेन केस है सीबीआई का, जो काम है मर्डर का, उसमें आप एक पॉइंट भी कुछ नहीं बोल रहे अभी तक, तो मुझे ये
सिंपल सी
बात
एक
समझ में
हेल्प
नहीं
कर दी ना,
आती।
एक हेल्प किया है ना,
जी
जो व्हाट्सएप चैट उन्होंने तो दिया है।
हाँ, बस वो व्हाट्सएप चैट दे दिया। अब सीबीआई से अपना काम हो नहीं रहा, तो उन लोगों ने सोचा चलो हम एनसीबी को कुछ पहुंचा देते हैं। चलो ब्रजेश भाई, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर पुटिंग द पॉइंट। एटलीस्ट मैंने आज सोचा ही था कि इट्स टाइम फॉर अस टू फेस द म्यूजिक एंड द मिरर, दैट इट्स अस हु हैज slowed down the momentum of this
चलो भरत
movement.
भाई, मैं भी निकलता हूँ। मैं बस आप लोग दिनेश भाई के सवाल का जवाब देने के लिए आते, लेकिन आप खुद लोग आप दोनों ने मिलकर अपने आप का सवाल का जवाब आप खुद नहीं दे दिए, तो अभी मेरा
नहीं,
काम
अगर
खत्म हो गया।
अगर आपको और कुछ ऐड करना है तो प्लीज गो अहेड
नहीं
ब्रजेश
नहीं,
भाई।
मैं बस देख रहा हूँ, सही चल रहा है सब कुछ, ठीक ठाक है।
थैंक यू
ऐसा
सो
कुछ
मच।
होगा तो बताऊँ।
थैंक यू।
ओके।
सो एज आई वाज सेइंग कि ये हम ही लोग हैं जिन्होंने गलत जगह गलत होप्स लगाई, और अब हम ही बैठ के रो रहे हैं कि यार ये हमारे साथ गलत हो गया। नहीं, हमने अपने आप को विक्टिम बनाया है। एजेंसी ने हमें नहीं बनाया, हमने अपने आप को बनाया है। पहले तो हम चले जाते हैं एनसीबी के पास कि वो बॉस है, पिठानी अभी भी अंदर है, एजेंसी कुछ कर रही है, कुछ नहीं कर रही है, वो सिर्फ ड्रग्स का
हाँ
हिसाब ले रही है।
बिल्कुल, मैंने फर्स्ट डे से भारत भाई बोला था कि जो ये चीजें होती है ना, ये जो पॉलिटिक्स होती है, इनका जो मेन वेपन होता है ना, मेन वेपन, वो आज की डेट में कंफ्यूजन होता है, कि लोगों के अंदर कंफ्यूजन फैलाओ और उसके बाद वो अपने आप भटक जाएंगे।
करेक्ट।
फिर उसके बाद तो
करेक्ट।
बस यही है।
देखो, मैं बस एक चीज बोलता हूँ, एजेंसी किसी के साथ नहीं है, न रिया के साथ, न सुशांत के लोगों के साथ। एजेंसी है अपने काम के साथ। उन्होंने आना है, अपना काम करना है, सरकार की नौकरी करनी है और घर चले जाना है। आप अगर एक्सपेक्ट करते रह जाओगे कि वो आउट ऑफ द वे जाके आपके लिए 302 फाइल करके लाएंगे, आई एम सॉरी गाइस, वंस अगेन आई एम डिलीवरिंग अ बैड न्यूज, दे वुडंट, until and unless you stand for it. Moving further to Ayush, how are you, bro?
फाइन फाइन।
बताएं।
इस
Your
केस
point
में
पढ़ा तुमने आज पूरा? मतलब did you were you here during the session? काफी
हाँ,
लोग हैं
समीर
जो
वानखेड़े से रिलेटेड है ना।
हाँ, ओके।
जब समीर वानखेड़े का जब इसमें एंट्री होता है, तब तब उन्होंने बहुत सारे लोगों को पकड़ा। जो काम मुंबई पुलिस को करना चाहिए था, वो काम एजेंसियों ने किया। समन पे
करेक्ट।
समन दिया, बुलाया, फिर उसके बाद पूछताछ हुई। जब आर्यन खान को दबोचा क्रूज केस में, तब से एक इन लोगों ने सॉफ्ट कॉर्नर बना लिया कि इस आदमी को किसी तरह निकालना है, क्योंकि ये अगर रहा तो हमारे गले को आ जाएगा, मतलब गले की हड्डी बन गए थे। तो उल्टे सीधे केस डाल डाल के उनको ये उलझा दिया, और नतीजा क्या हुआ, आर्यन खान निकल गया।
अरे हम आर्यन खान की बात कर भी क्यों रहे हैं? Who the hell is he? He is not even
नहीं,
relevant to Sushant Singh
मैं बात कर
Rajput.
रहा हूँ जब ये इन्वेस्टिगेशन चल रहा था।
अरे बाबा आयुष, नहीं, मैं तेको नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कुछ। मेरा ये क्वेश्चन और ये गुस्सा लोगों से है, यहाँ के यूट्यूबर्स से है, जिन्होंने दिन रात दिन रात दिन रात इस यहाँ पे, मतलब ये हम लोगों की भी गलती है, और किस रीजन से है मैं ये बताता हूँ। अगर हम सिर्फ सीबीआई मर्डर पे टिके रहते, तो क्या आप लोग बात करते हैं एनसीबी की? नहीं करते।
नो।
अब मैं तो उस टाइम, मेरा चैनल भी नहीं था, बट आई एम जस्ट सेइंग, हमने क्या किया कि जो जो आज हो रहा है, कल हो रहा है, हमने आर्यन खान नवाब मलिक, आर्यन खान नवाब मलिक, आर्यन खान नवाब मलिक, 2 महीने तो हमने इसमें सड़ा दिए, जिनका कोई एसएसआर केस से लेना भी नहीं था। इससे हमने एनसीबी को भगवान तो बना दिया, बट हम ये भूल गए कि सुशांत सिंह राजपूत के मर्डर केस में क्या हो रहा है, क्योंकि हमारी उम्मीदें थी एनसीबी से कि भाई एनसीबी हमको कुछ लाके देगी, लाके दे दिया ना, इज ऑल आई से। सो आर्यन खान नवाब मलिक, इट इज आवर फॉल्ट।
इसी के बीच में फंसता चला गया, हम लोग का ध्यान डाइवर्ट हो गया मर्डर
और
केस को
आज भी
लेके।
आप देखो, आर्यन खान की बात हो रही है। ये देखो, Now, though, I think that Aryan Khan was scripted to remove Wankhede safely from drug cases. Disha, what is even point of this comment? I mean, Sameer Wankhede is gone. I don't care. आर्यन खान की बात हुई, आर्यन खान पे केस हुआ, आई सीरियसली डोंट केयर. सुशांत सिंह राजपूत के मर्डर पे कौन क्या बात करेगा, दैट इज समथिंग विच आई केयर, एंड दैट इज द एटीट्यूड वी नीड टू हैव अगर हम सही में चाहते हैं कि मर्डर से रिलेटेड कुछ हो. नहीं तो आप लोगों को मुबारक, ट्रस्ट मी, मैं बोलता रह जाऊंगा और कुछ नहीं होने वाला. आप लोग अगर आज भी सिर्फ इसी चीज में देख रहे हो कि यार अच्छा चलो, यू नो, हम अभी जो रीसेंट चीजें हो रही है हम उन पे बात करते हैं, कुछ नया लेके आते हैं, कुछ नया लेके आते हैं. लाओ नया. लाए थे नया आर्यन खान एंड ऑल. आर्यन खान, नवाब मलिक, कर लिए नया. हो गया नया केस तुम्हारा, खुलवा लो अब.
अच्छा, एनआईए ने जो दाऊद इब्राहिम पे केस फाइल किया है, उसका कोई इम्पैक्ट पड़ेगा?
यार हवाला और फाइनेंशियल एंगल पे है, तो अभी तो हम कुछ नहीं कह सकते जब तक उसमें इन्वेस्टिगेशन में
क्योंकि ड्रग के
इन्वेस्टिगेशन
पैसे से ही टेररिस्टों को वेपन मिलता है. आज जो तालिबान अफगानिस्तान पे राज कर रहा है, तो ये सब ड्रग के पैसों से हो रहा है. ये तो आप
यार
भैया
मनी
ड्रग्स को एक मिनट भारत भाई, मैं ये बोल रहा था ड्रग्स को, और वहां क्या हो रहा है, यहाँ क्या हो रहा है, आप मुझे ये बताइए इस चैनल का नाम क्या है और हमारा सबका मेन मोटिव क्या है? जस्टिस फॉर एसएसआर. हम देखो, मैं आपकी बात नहीं कर रहा, मैं सबकी बात कर रहा हूँ. हम इधर उधर की बातें बहुत करते हैं, लेकिन मुझे तो भैया भारत भाई, मैं सच बता रहा हूँ, आज के बाद मुझे सिर्फ 302 पे बात करनी है. मुझे 302 चाहिए, हमें 302 चाहिए. दैट्स इट. पूरा का पूरा फोकस 302, पूरा का पूरा फोकस 302, ओनली 302 के ऊपर प्रेशर बनाओ प्लीज, मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है. मैं तो आगे से सिर्फ और सिर्फ 302 पे बात करने वाला हूँ. दैट्स इट.
करेक्ट. और वही मैटर करता है यार. देखो कौन ड्रग कौन क्या, ठीक है, हमें पता चल गया कि रिया चक्रवर्ती क्या कर रही थी, ड्रग सिंडिकेट चला रही थी. एनसीबी ने अपने डॉक्यूमेंट पे आज नहीं 2 साल पहले 2020 अक्टूबर में क्लियर कर दिया था कि इसका डेथ केस से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. हम हैं, यू नो. नहीं, आर्यन खान, नवाब मलिक, आर्यन खान, नवाब मलिक, आज भी वही चल रहा है. आज भी लोग शाहरुख खान के पीछे पड़े हुए हैं कि ओ माय गॉड, आई मीन कितना हाइपर हो गए हैं लोग यार. व्हाट हैज हैपेंड टू पीपल? आई मीन कहां से वो स्पिट कर रहा था. ऐसे ही लोग बेइज्जतियां करवाते हैं हमारी, यू नो, कि व्हाट इंडियंस आर. या फिर क्योंकि नाम किसका खराब होता है, एसएसआर बॉट्स बोला जाता है हमें. दे वांट टू डाइवर्ट अस. प्रीति डे 1 से डाइवर्ट हो रहे हैं हम बाय एनसीबी. VT, I see you have joined back again. Anything else you want to share, buddy?
Oh yeah, sorry for butting in again.
No,
Being a
it's all
first timer, I couldn't check the private chat. I didn't know where it is, and I just left. So would just request you to drop it in again so that I can do the needful.
Yep.
I appreciate it. Thanks
Then,
and bye.
bye. Thank you so much.
I'll come back tomorrow. Thanks.
Yep. ओके ब्रजेश भाई, ऐसा लग रहा है अब हमें रैप अप की ओर चलना पड़ेगा. वैसे भी अभी लोग काफी थक हार के अभी लेट ज्वाइन किए हैं. जूडी जी, मैंने देख लिया यू ज्वाइन लेट एंड आई नो व्हाई यू ज्वाइन लेट. चलो
बिल्कुल
आगे बढ़े.
बिल्कुल.
हाँ जी.
बस लास्ट में सिर्फ एक भी बात बोलना चाहूंगा. मेरी एक रिक्वेस्ट है सभी से कि बस आप 302 पे बात करो. दैट्स इट. 302 के ऊपर प्रेशर बनाओ. हमें 302 चाहिए, मुझे 302 चाहिए. हर इंसान जो भी एसएसआरियन है वो प्लीज प्रेशर बनाए कि 302 302. दैट्स इट.
Debasmita, you have a very amazing question. If drug and SSR murder is related, which agency is responsible? The drug would be taken care by NCB as they are taking, whether it's related or not. However, NCB has clarified that it's not related. And the murder will be taken care by either the police or the CBI or whosoever has been appointed. So it's CBI who would be taking care of that case. Now, one thing we need to be wary about is that NCB had already stated in the month of October year 2020 that drug case has got nothing to do with the murder. So that answers your question. They are not related. But even if they are, uh, we know. Okay, let's proceed. Desing sir, welcome and how are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, Bharat. आप कैसे हो?
I'm good, sir. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, no, like this is like kind of like almost like a third time going through it, and you did point out कई बातें which were not हमारे दिमाग में नहीं आई थी. But yeah, bottom line remains same. Like not to agree with everything you're saying, but everybody was saying. I mean, NCB was saying this is a different case. I mean, they misuse the name. That's a different thing. Vikas Singh was saying कि वो केस हमारा है ही नहीं, if you remember him, right?
Correct. ये देखो
So everybody's saying, and like, so yeah, I mean, we can't fault anybody but us, right? So there is that. बाकी उन्होंने चार्जशीट तो फाइल कर दिया, but again that's a different case. It's very different. Like हमारी क्या थी कि हम लोगों को कि we were so involved कि उससे रिलेटेड, सुशांत से रिलेटेड जितने भी ये खराब लोग जो थे, इनके अगेंस्ट कुछ भी होता था ना, तो इट यूज्ड टू गिव अस, क्या कहते हैं, हैप्पीनेस, प्लेजर, it's but it was not rightfully placed, right? So yeah, I mean, that's done. It all comes down to, like you said, 14th is coming, and like I always say, when you go to Bombay और कहीं भी जाते हो, like दो ही चीजें इसमें ना जस्टिस या ट्रूथ को बाहर ला सकती है. दो ही चीजें, या तो टेक्नोलॉजी, राइट, या फिर कोई एक लक बाय लक हो जाए, और या फिर लोग सड़कों पे उतरे. आई मीन, which is again is the question how.
Considering the present scenario, sir, देखो luck पे तो हम believe नहीं कर सकते. Luck is something which should completely rule out. Now, it's our actions, both using technology and getting on roads. ठीक है, अब चाहे हम जैसे हमने पहले भी रुद्रबा के साथ मिलके एक एक्टिविटी करी थी ग्राउंड पे, जहाँ पे हम सिर्फ 3 लोग गए थे, एंड वी ट्राइड टू मेक एन इम्पैक्ट. दैट टाइम वी स्पोक अबाउट बॉलीवुड, बट the same way we can step down on roads, we can start spreading awareness amongst people about the murder of Sushant. Because अगर मैं आज की डेट में किसी भी नॉर्मल इंसान से बात करता हूँ तो 80% of them tells me यार उसने तो सुसाइड कर लिया. ठीक है, ये उनका वर्जन होता है, क्लियर.
Right.
So that is the reason I am taking this step to go to CBI on Monday, which happens to be February 14th, and with only one expectation that अगर हम कम लोग भी पहुंचे ना वहां सर, कम से कम ये देख के अदर पार्ट ऑफ द कंट्रीज, कई लोग क्या बोलते हैं पता है कि वी डोंट लिव इन दिल्ली, हाउ कैन वी गो टू CBI, तो rather than going to CBI in their respective places, they, whether it's in small numbers, they can also gather near a government organization, right? It doesn't have to be necessarily CBI, right? So my whole intent and the reason for doing this on February 14th is that people who still have excuses ready, stating that we don't live in Delhi, we can't come to CBI, wherever you're living, go to any government institution, protest in front of them. I'm not saying protest like a very a crazy aggressive protest. No, it's silent gathering with the posters. The poster says it all. If you have t-shirts made out, that's nothing like it.
Exactly.
So we need to start, and we need to start that regularly, so that these agency, this office ke guards, wherever we are going, they get to know that okay, these are the group of people who are coming here every week. देखो sir, एक बार, 2 बार, 3 बार जाने से नहीं होगा, महीने में 2 बार जाना पड़ेगा, तभी होगा. नहीं तो आप एक डेंट भी नहीं कर सकते सिस्टम में, because they are careless, they are carefree. I would call them carefree, not careless. They won't give a shit.
It doesn't affect their bottom line, right?
So we have to show that consistency, and until and unless वो consistency नहीं रहेगी, things would not work out, is all I know.
Right.
So I feel we have to start So the first step is to step down, no matter how many are there, but at least start. हमारे यहाँ क्या होता है, हम एक प्रोटेस्ट करते हैं, 2 महीने तक उस प्रोटेस्ट के गाने गाते हैं, फिर तीसरे महीने कुछ ओकेजन आ जाता है, तब एक और प्रोटेस्ट हो जाता है. That's not what we need to do. Visiting CBI on regular basis, or maybe any government institution on regular basis, showing them consistency and letting them know that Sushant has not been forgotten. अगर आप 2 महीने 3 महीने में एक बार protest करोगे, तो obviously people would think that Sushant has been forgotten. आप अगर अपने डिजिटल मीडिया पे प्रेजेंस दिखा रहे हो, तो आपको ग्राउंड पे भी इक्वली दिखानी पड़ेगी. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप 2 महीने 3 महीने में अपनी कन्वीनियंस के हिसाब से एक साइलेंट प्रोटेस्ट कर लें. नो, यू हैव टू बी, अगर आपके पास परमिशन नहीं है, यू हैव टू बी स्टबर्न. आप कब तक उनकी परमिशन, तो वो आपको कभी नहीं देंगे, इसका मतलब आप प्रोटेस्ट कभी नहीं करोगे. कुछ लोग बोलते हैं ना कि परमिशन नहीं होगी तो मैं नहीं जाऊंगा या मैं नहीं जाऊंगी, इट्स नॉट सेफ. तो अगर आप सेफ्टी की बात कर रहे हो, तो आप जस्टिस के लिए आवाज मत उठाइए. अगर आपको सेफ रहना है, आप घर पे बैठिए, आप डिजिटल बात करिए, और एंड यू डोंट इवन टॉक अबाउट द प्रोटेस्ट.
सो दो छोटी बातें शेयर करूंगा भारत, इफ यू अलाउ मी. या एग्जैक्टली, जैसे आपने बोला ना कि मैं यहाँ पे, मैं तुम्हें बताऊं, मैं यूएस में रहता हूँ, और मैं यूएस में भी एक बहुत छोटी जगह रहता हूँ, राइट. छोटी जगह यहाँ पे मतलब क्या है कि देसी पता नहीं 40 फैमिलीज होगी, 15-20 पंजाबी फैमिलीज है, राइट. एंड वी नो ईच अदर, राइट, बट वी डोंट सी ईच अदर पिछले 2 साल से, ठीक है ना. तो मैंने जब सुशांत का जन्मदिन आया ना, तो मैंने एक टी शर्ट ऑर्डर की ऑनलाइन, बिकॉज यहाँ पे प्रिंट नहीं हुआ. टी शर्ट ऑर्डर की, अभी यहाँ पे पहुंची तो मुझे एक भी देसी बंदा नहीं दिखेगा. आई विल नॉट कम अक्रॉस व्हेन आई गो आउट. तो मैंने क्या किया, एक दिन मैं जब नॉर्थ वर्जीनिया गया, वहाँ डीसी के पास में, वहां पे ज्यादातर इंडियंस हैं, तो मैंने डिसाइड किया कि मैं वो टी शर्ट पहन के जाऊंगा, जैसे सोशल एक्सपेरिमेंट. हाउ मेनी पीपल इवन लुक एट मी फॉर दैट, राइट. And I tell you, not a single person even came or said or even paid attention to what I was, and that's the kind of thing, which is fine, लेकिन वही बात है कि अपने देश में अगर खाली तुमको जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, just wear a t-shirt at least once a week and get out and let people ask, right? I remember when you 3 people went to that, Sepoy Theater, and you talked to that reporter, how it is. We need to engage with people, right? And that's what, like, just wear a t-shirt and just go out when you go to your I mean, that's something nobody can stop you from doing, right? एक तो वो बात, और दूसरी छोटी सी बात मैं शेयर करूंगा कि हम कल अर्नब के बारे में बात कर रहे थे, and how he's speaking.
I lost your voice, sir. सिर्फ मुझे ही नहीं आ रही आवाज, कि बाकी सबको भी नहीं आ रही?
नहीं आ रही आवाज उनकी, वो शायद कोई इशू हो गया
or what he should speak or not, right? तो मैंने उसको see you as well, but yes, yeah, okay. So I just sent a tweet. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. बीच में थोड़ी देर के लिए 5 से 7 सेकंड के लिए पॉज हो गई थी.
तो just to finish the thought that I had and share with you, like, तो मैंने रिपब्लिक को just एक ट्वीट भेजा. मैंने कहा कि don't say anything about SSR if you can't, for whatever reason. If you can just put like a days counter, आज 605 दिन हो गए हैं since January 13th. When you have a show, just at the bottom, date since SSR passed away. Just put that. Even that would be enough for us. That's all we need. Where they say, okay, people who watch us can remember that this is still unsold. बस इतना ही कहना था मुझे आज का.
Thank you, sir. But again, my only point would be that we have seen enough banking on agencies and banking on media houses. They are running their bankrolls in a way they suit is best for them. So we should let them be, and we should think and we should feel that we are content enough to ourselves stand for something that we believe in. And we believe that Sushant Singh Rajput and Disha Salyan was murdered no matter what. It's all about consistency in terms of showing up in front of these government institutions to remind them that we are not forgetting, no matter अब अगर आप हमें बिस्किट फेंकोगे कि ओ एनसीबी ने ये कर दिया, एमसीबी ने वो कर दिया, तो dude, we have got nothing to do with that. spare us from NCB, spare us from the drug angle. We don't want it. In fact, मैं आज इनफैक्ट ये भी शेयर करने वाला था कि दिशा की बेल एप्लीकेशन की डेट अभी भी हटी हुई है, बट आई वोंट इवन डू इट बिकॉज इट हैज गॉट नथिंग टू डू विद द मर्डर. दिशा की नहीं, सॉरी, रिया की, माय बैड. सो इट हैज गॉट नथिंग टू डू विद द मर्डर एंड इट डजंट कंसर्न्स मी एनी मोर. चाहे वो अपनी लाइफ में ड्रग बेचते हुए पकड़ी गई, चाहे वो अपनी लाइफ में कोई भी इलीगल काम करते पकड़े गए, या फिर कचरा चुराते हुए पकड़े गए, वट एवर. I don't have nothing to do. My only concern is this person being questioned by CBI and not being taken on a ride by CBI. बहुत देर से सारा वेट कर रही है. I'll quickly move to her and then we'll move towards conclusion if no one else joins in. Sara, good evening and welcome to the stream. I know
Yeah,
yesterday you tried a lot, but हो
yeah,
नहीं पाया.
yeah. It
Hope
was
you're
on
doing
my
well.
bad. Hi, how are you? Hope everything is fine with you and everybody. Good evening. Yeah, I just want जो भी आप एनसीबी की आज बात कर रहे हैं, सो उससे रिलेटेड और ये जो जितना भी आपने सब कुछ आज शेयर किया, दैट वाज रियली गुड. जितना चीजें शेयर करते हैं उतनी आंखें खुलती हैं एंड उतनी चीजें पता चलती हैं. सो आई वाज जस्ट थिंकिंग कि अगर तो सिर्फ सुशांत ड्रग्स ले रहा था एंड एवरीबडी वाज सब उसी के लिए ड्रग्स ला रहे थे घर में एंड ओनली ही वाज टेकिंग, तो व्हाई पोस्टमार्टम में कुछ क्यों नहीं आया? मतलब आप अगर इतने ड्रग एडिक्ट हो, आप दिन रात ड्रग लेते हो एंड सॉरी टू से बट इस स्टेटमेंट से लेके या इस चीज से लेके अगर हम उसको लिंक करें तो व्हाई नॉट इन पोस्टमार्टम देयर वाज नॉट if they were saying that he was taking depression pills or whatever, वो भी कुछ भी नहीं था. Not that we are not taking that mango milkshake or coconut water or whatever, whichever juice, whatever. Only they were
Well,
considering कि सिर्फ लिक्विड को लेके चले थे बिकॉज अगर कहीं को बात निकलती है तो उन्होंने सिर्फ अपनी स्टोरी में लिक्विड ही लाए थे ताकि पोस्टमार्टम में कुछ इतना क्लियर ना हो कि उसने कुछ खाया था. बिकॉज आपको अगर याद
पोस्टमार्टम हुआ
होगा
ही
तो
नहीं.
वो
सारा
हाँ
पोस्टमार्टम
नहीं,
हुआ ही नहीं, तो
बहुत
ड्रग्स की
सारी
तो बात
चीजें
ही
तो ऐसी. नो, आई एम जस्ट सेइंग कि अगर हम इस इस कॉइन के इस साइड को देखते हैं, नॉट द
नहीं.
अदर साइड, जो हम जिस चीज को हम मानते हैं वो तो ठीक है, हम मानते हैं कि उसका नहीं हुआ, जो जो चीजें नहीं हुई, बट आई वाज जस्ट थिंकिंग कि अगर हम इस चीज को लेके चलें कि वो ड्रग लेता था और सब उसी के लिए ड्रग्स ला रहे थे. जितने भी चार्जशीट में 33 लोगों के नाम आए थे उसमें सबसे पहले रिया चक्रवर्ती का ही नाम था. सब सिर्फ उन्हीं के लिए ड्रग्स ला रहे थे एंड ही वाज टेकिंग ड्रग्स. तो फिर पोस्टमार्टम में कुछ क्यों नहीं आया, राइट? एंड देन डाइवर्जन की बात आती है तो डाइवर्ट तो हम डे 1 से हो रहे हैं. मर्डर को सुसाइड बताया, देन आप सीबीआई इतनी मुश्किल से आई, देन आपने कुंद्रा के केस में हमें लगा दिया, देन आप बॉलीवुड की सेलिब्रिटीज को ले आए, देन आहिस्ता आहिस्ता करके 3 सेलिब्रिटीज,
मनसूख
4
हिरेन आ
सेलिब्रिटी, सॉरी
मनसूख हिरेन आ गया फिर, एंड
ये
हमारा
आहिस्ता
ध्यान
आहिस्ता करके तो ध्यान बढ़ता ही जा रहा है ना. नॉट सिर्फ एनसीबी नहीं, हम सिर्फ एक होता है ना, आप सिर्फ आप अगर एक साथ सारे लोग जुड़े हुए हैं तो आप बस उसमें एक आग छोड़ दें, चिंगारी लगा दें एंड देन वो फिर खुद ही भड़कती चली जाएगी आग. बस आपको सिर्फ काम आग लगाने का करना है, राइट? तो वो ये चीज तो डे 1 से चल रही है बिकॉज पहले हमें मर्डर से हटाया गया कि सुसाइड है, डिप्रेशन है, सब कुछ डे 1 से हमें. फिर उसके बाद कुंद्रा केस, देन आहिस्ता आहिस्ता करके बॉलीवुड, देन बॉलीवुड का फिर अर्नब का केस हो गया, देन टीआरपी केस हो गया. आहिस्ता आहिस्ता करके लोग उसी तरह डाइवर्ट भी होते गए. ऐसा नहीं है, जो बात हकीकत है उसको मानना चाहिए कि लोग डाइवर्ट होते थे और आज तक होते हैं. देन वो अलाइव वाली थ्योरी चली, देन मतलब सिर्फ डाइवर्जन ही तो हो रही है. नॉर्मल एक पूरे पूरे प्लेटफॉर्म सिर्फ अलाइव वाली थ्योरी पे आज तक चल रहे हैं. आई डोंट नो क्या लोगों की थिंकिंग होती है, क्या लोग सोचते हैं,
छोड़ो ना,
लेकिन
लाइव थ्योरी बात करने लायक भी नहीं है, तो उसके बारे
हाँ
में बात भी नहीं.
एग्जैक्टली. अगर आपको इतना आपके पास टाइम है और दिमाग है सोचने का कि आप अलाइव थ्योरी को सोचो, तो आई डोंट नो व्हाई देयर, मतलब अभी तक 2 साल से लोग क्यों हैं यहाँ पे.
करेक्ट.
बट वैसे जो केस से रिलेटेड मेरे पास बहुत कुछ है कहने को, बट नेक्स्ट डे कभी आप ओपन सेशन करेंगे देन आई विल रीजॉइन. बट अभी मुझे सिर्फ एक ही बात ही कहनी थी एनसीबी से रिलेटेड कि व्हाई देयर वाज नथिंग, अगर हम लेके चलते हैं कि उनके मुताबिक पोस्टमार्टम तो हुआ है, राइट, उन्हीं के मुताबिक सुसाइड है, उन्हीं के मुताबिक डिप्रेशन था, उन्हीं के मुताबिक सब कुछ हम लेके चलते हैं, तो फिर तो पोस्टमार्टम में आना चाहिए था कि उसने 40 marijuana की सिगरेट्स भी पी थी, एज जैसे दीपेश और नीरज ने अपने स्टेटमेंट में कहा कि उस घर में से 40 marijuana की सिगरेट्स निकली थी, तो सब कुछ आना चाहिए था। वो
नहीं,
ऐसा कुछ
पोस्टमार्टम में marijuana could not be accounted for. I'm just giving an info because marijuana या फिर कोई भी ऐसे psychotropic substance which is not chemical but herbal like marijuana और
हाँ,
हशीश जिसे बोलते हैं, इसके लिए THC टेस्ट होता है, ठीक है, दैट
ओके
इज अ डिफरेंट टेस्ट। वो पोस्टमार्टम में आई डोंट नो वेदर दे डू अ
ओके
THC
ओके
टेस्ट।
ओके फाइन, आप अगर उसको भी लेके नहीं चलते हैं, बट अगर ही वाज टेकिंग पिल्स फॉर डिप्रेशन, राइट, एंजाइटी और डिप्रेशन, एनीथिंग, कोई तो वो कहा जा रहा था ना 1 जून को बहुत ज्यादा डिप्रेस था, 3 जून को बहुत ज्यादा डिप्रेस था, राइट, देन व्हाई, मतलब उसमें से भी कुछ क्यों नहीं निकला? 4 to 3 days, 3 to 4, 5 days तो कुछ ना कुछ आपकी बॉडी में रहता है ना, स्टमक, कुछ मिलीमीटर तो कुछ नहीं निकलेगा, राइट, आपका कोई इतना सा लिक्विड तो नहीं निकलेगा। अगर घर में ही 4 लोग कह रहे हैं कि उसने सब कुछ पिया, सब कुछ वट, बट बहुत ज्यादा खिचड़ी बना दी है और कुछ हम लोगों ने भी उसमें ऐड कर दिया है।
हम लोगों
हमारे
ने
लोग
सबसे
भी,
ज्यादा किया, सैड टू से दिस,
यस,
बट वी आर
वेरी
द
वेरी सैड टू से दिस।
we are the prime culprits who has diverted this case ourselves towards drugs. We have made it a Sushant Singh Rajput drug case. Sad to
यस,
say, but
योर,
that's the reality.
या, वेरी सैड टू से, बट मैं इस बात को मानती हूँ कि ऐसा है, बिकॉज हम लोगों में से ही लोग बढ़ते चले गए ना। वो कहते हैं ना, दरिया दरिया,
It's not about
सॉरी,
बटना,
कतरा।
इट्स नॉट अबाउट बटना, इट्स जस्ट कि हम लोगों के लिए आर्यन खान ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट हो गया, हम लोगों के लिए एक समीर वानखेड़े कुछ ज़्यादा ही इम्पोर्टेंट हो गया। मैंने तो नहीं देखा यार, दिल्ली के इतने अच्छे अच्छे ऑफिसर्स हैं, आई कैन गिव यू द नेम्स, मैंने तो नहीं देखा किसी को किसी और ऐसे रेगुलर ऑफिसर्स करते हुए। सी
सॉरी टू कट
नथिंग
यू,
अगेंस्ट
बट
वानखेड़े, सारा
सॉरी, आई
लेट्स।
एम जस्ट कटिंग यू, बट कल जैसे शरण जी ने कहा था कि इस केस से पहले तो ड्रग्स नहीं था क्या, या फिर इस केस से पहले एनसीबी कुछ नहीं कर रही थी?
एनसीबी नहीं भी और भी ऑफिसर्स होते हैं, अगर हम फिर
और भी लोग होते हैं ना, राइट?
प्रेज करने आ रहे हैं तो वी शुड प्रेज ऑल अदर ऑफिसर्स डूइंग गुड इन देयर लाइन ऑफ फील्ड्स, नॉट जस्ट एनसीबी, बिकॉज अब क्या बोल सकते हैं, खैर लेट इट बी। एनीथिंग एल्स यू वुड वांट टू ऐड सारा?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I'm sorry, I'm just taking too much of time, but मुझे वो जो आपने एक रिया का इंटरव्यू शेयर किया था राजीव राय के साथ, then I was just thinking कि इतना मतलब literally she was lying, continuously she was lying, but मेरा एक सिर्फ यही सवाल था कि बाबा आप इतना टाइम उसके साथ रहीं, राइट, एंड देन आपके पास इतने सारे नेगेटिव पॉइंट्स थे कहने के लिए, बट आपके पास कोई भी एक पॉजिटिव पॉइंट नहीं था उसके लिए कहने के लिए, आपके पास कुछ भी नहीं था। आपने ये कहा कि वो ये करता था, मैं उसको ड्रग्स देती थी, वो तो केदारनाथ से ड्रग्स लेता था, उसको तो 1 दिन लगा मुझे प्रपोज करने में, मैंने ही टाइम लिया। तो आपने जो टाइम लिया और आपने सोचा कि मुझे उसकी गर्लफ्रेंड बन जाना चाहिए, तो वो प्लस पॉइंट्स क्या थे आपके पास? सिर्फ अपने आप को डिफेंड करने के लिए, एंड योर पेरेंट्स एंड योर ब्रदर, ओनली यू आर डिफेंडिंग देम। ऐसे ही किसी का एफआईआर में नाम नहीं होता है, ऐसे ही फैमिली ने पेरेंट्स का नाम, आपके ब्रदर का नाम और आपका नाम नहीं डाल दिया एफआईआर में, ऐसे ही कोई नहीं कर देता है, कुछ तो पीछे बैकग्राउंड होता है ना।
नहीं
नाउ
तो वो
आपकी
तो
आपकी लाइफ में कुछ अच्छा था ही नहीं सुशांत से लेके, आपके लाइफ में सिर्फ ये था कि ही वाज डिप्रेस्ड, ही वाज टेकिंग पिल्स, आई एम गिविंग दिस, आई एम गिविंग दैट, ही वाज टेकिंग ड्रग्स, ही वाज डूइंग दिस दैट दिस। आप कुछ तो अच्छा हुआ होगा ना पिछले 1 साल में, 1.5 साल में, आपने कुछ तो अच्छा टाइम गुजारा होगा उसके साथ, बट आपने सिर्फ उसको, तो ये बात तो साबित होती है ना कि इससे तो मतलब कंटिन्यूअसली शी इज लाइंग, कंटिन्यूअसली शी इज लाइंग।
शी इज एंड वो इंटरव्यूज जो है वो तो सुशांत की एक इमेज क्रिएट करने के लिए ही हुए थे, इज व्हाट आई नो, द क्वेश्चंस वर
No,
स्क्रिप्टेड।
this is the proof ना। if you remember, उसने कहा कि केदारनाथ मतलब जब तक वो इंटरव्यू हुआ था, जब तक वो अरेस्ट नहीं हुई थी, राइट? तो अरेस्ट नहीं हुई थी तो बेल का जो अभी आपने आज पढ़ा है सब कुछ कोर्ट की तरफ का, तो वो भी नहीं आया था, राइट? सो आज आपने जो पढ़ा उसमें ये लिखा है कि सुशांत तो पहले से ले रहा था ड्रग्स, और वो अपने इंटरव्यू में कहती है कि केदारनाथ से वो, तो ये तो सब मिली भगत है ना, सब मिलके एक ही चीज कर रहे हैं, राइट? मतलब वही मैंने कमेंट में लिखा था कि हम मतलब डूबेंगे तो तुम्हें भी लेके ही डूबेंगे सनम, तो वो ये वाली कहानी है कि तुमने कहा तो हम भी वही करेंगे। तो दिस इज बस थैंक यू सो मच फॉर गिविंग मी इतना सारा टाइम आपने दिया, एंड
इट्स
देन यू आर
ऑलराइट।
डूइंग अ ग्रेट जॉब, एंड प्लीज कीप इट अप, ताकि सुशांत की लेगेसी भी जिंदा रहे और सुशांत का नाम भी जिंदा रहे। थैंक यू सो मच, एंड टेक केयर, एंड डेफिनेटली मैं दोबारा ज्वाइन करूँगी। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you for joining in.
थैंक यू।
Before we move to NY Traveler, I wanted to take this comment. Devsmita, Aryan Khan became important because we thought it would lead somewhere. And here we are. That would be the answer. Okay, NY Traveler, thank you so much for joining in. Hope you're doing well.
यस हेलो भारत। पहले तो आई वुड लाइक टू से कि आप बहुत ही अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं।
Thank you.
मैं आपको अक्सर ट्विटर पे भी कहती हूँ, यू आर डूइंग अ फिनोमिनल जॉब, एंड रियली यू नो कंटेंट पे फोकस रखना इज सो गुड। आई एम सो अप्रिशिएटिव, ग्रेटफुल कि आप ये कर रहे हो। अच्छा, बहरहाल ये जो आज जो टॉपिक हो रहा है उस पे अब मुझे, मैं जब इसको, किसी ने कहा था कमेंट्स में कि अब हम बिग पिक्चर अगर इसको देखें इसकी, तो द वे दिस थिंग इज प्लेइंग आउट लुक्स लाइक कि सुशांत अगर ड्रग्स ले रहे थे, अब मैं उनकी साइड प्ले आउट कर रही हूँ, रिया वगैरह उनकी कबाल की साइड, तो इन लोगों ने अगर ये प्रूव कर दिया कि सुशांत ड्रग्स ले रहे थे, और बेशक रिया से मिलने के पहले भी अगर ले रहे थे, which is now it makes sense कि why NCB called Shraddha and Deepika and Sara, right?
Correct.
तो अगर उन तीनों ने भी ये corroborate किया कि सुशांत was the one taking drugs, जो कि हमें मीडिया ने
They
उस
did.
वक्त रिपोर्ट, they did exactly. तो
Shraddha
उन,
Kapoor said this,
हाँ,
that वो छिछोरे के टाइम पे वैनिटी में जाके he
yeah,
used to smoke up and all that.
yeah, yeah, and apparently so did Sara. दीपिका का I don't know, but I mean अपने आप को डिफेंड करने के लिए तो at minimum उस वजह से तो वो कहेंगी,
Correct.
और if nothing else, है ना, बिकॉज इनमें से ऐसा तो कोई नहीं है कि भाई अब हम इतने मतलब ऑनेस्टली बता दें एक्चुअली हम कर रहे थे, वो नहीं कर रहा था, ये तो बात है नहीं, ये नहीं कहेंगे ऐसा। तो
Right.
इनको अब हिस्ट्री भी, अब टेस्टिमोनियल्स आ गए हैं फ्रॉम 3 अदर इंडिपेंडेंट विटनेसेस, और इस टाइम पे जो घर में जो भी रह रहा था सुशांत के साथ, उन सब ने एक ही चीज पे कंसिस्टेंट हैं, बाकी किसी चीज पे कंसिस्टेंट नहीं है ये। on anything on the day of the 13th 14th, इनकी स्टोरीज किसी भी चीज में नहीं मिल रही, लेकिन एक चीज में ये सब कंसिस्टेंट हैं कि सुशांत was the one consuming the drugs.
Correct.
इनमें से कोई नहीं कंज्यूम कर रहा था, और अगर ये खरीद भी रहे थे और ये जो भी कुछ कर रहे थे वो सुशांत की ड्रग हैबिट को सपोर्ट करने के लिए कर रहे थे, ये अपना इनका कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं था। एंड देन रिया ने वो 2 आई थिंक मेरे ख्याल से 2 वीडियोस थे वो भी रिलीज कर दिए जिसमें सुशांत इज क्लियरली अंडर द इन्फ्लुएंस, एंड यू नो इट्स, आई मीन हम एज फैंस जब देखते हैं तो हमारा तो बहुत दिल टूटता है, बिकॉज वी कैन सी कि यू नो ही इज नॉट हिमसेल्फ एट ऑल। आई मीन उसके बावजूद भी वो फिर भी बात कर रहा है अपने स्टार्स एंड टेलीस्कोप की, या फिर वो बुक पढ़ रहा है ना, लेकिन उन्होंने अपनी तरफ से तो ये प्रूव कर दिया वीडियो में दिखा के भी कि भाई देखो ये तो ड्रग्ड, क्लियरली है ये ड्रग्ड। तो अब डर अब यही है कि इनका वो सब केस इंक्लूडिंग अब एनसीबी का एक्सेप्टेंस ही हुआ ना ये, आई मीन बिकॉज आई एम नॉट सीइंग, नॉट ओनली आर दे नॉट डिनाइंग, इनफैक्ट उनका तो बेसिस ही ये है कि रिया तुम पेडल कर रही थी और तुम सुशांत को सप्लाई कर रही थी। तो आई मीन ये तो
That is what
change.
that have been fed to them as statements by
Exactly.
these people. So they
So,
would
I mean,
work on that.
well, I mean, that working on that, Bharat, would mean that उनका जो entire line of उनका जो entire reasoning थी
Hmm.
to arrest Rhea and this whole gang, उनको वो सारी change करनी पड़ेगी. Because it's a very different charge then कि अगर आप ये charge पे किसी को charge करते हैं कि आप खरीद रहे थे और syndicate चला रहे थे for your own profit, that's different charge. एक और charge हो सकता है कि आप खरीद रहे थे, syndicate चला रहे थे so that you could drug and manipulate and loot a person, that is a different charge. लेकिन इन्होंने जो rational build किया NCB ने, इन्होंने ये build किया कि तुम लोग खरीद रहे थे, सारा कुछ कर रहे थे for the consumption of SSR.
Right.
तो ये change करना तो बहुत different हो जाएगा ना भारत. This will be very difficult because it's almost like a new case.
Now, see, it would again be difficult only if NCB might have not challenged these statements. Once again, I'd like to reiterate कि ये जो document है, it was dated October 2020. उसके बाद क्या एनसीबी ने इन सारे स्टेटमेंट्स को चैलेंज किया है, नहीं किया है, वी वुड ओनली गेट टू नो वंस वी हैव द चार्ज शीट फाइल्ड. और वो चार्ज शीट अभी आउट इन द पब्लिक नहीं है, सो वी कैन नॉट रीड द अकॉर्डेंस ऑफ वट एवर इज इन एंड अराउंड दैट चार्ज शीट, बट the time we will read, we will get to know the entire story. But as far as today's document reading session goes, I particularly now believe that if at any point in time I have stressed up on the drug case, then I have been at fault. And that's the only reason I did not, in the sequence of series of the sessions that I had been doing, I did decide that I would not touch NCB much because it's of no use.
Right.
Only things which can lead us to connections who leads towards death, like इम्तियाज निसार खत्री, क्योंकि
Yeah.
उसका नाम दिशा के भी उसमें था, उन लोगों की बातें होंगी, बट नॉट ऑफ द पीपल. बट एक और चीज मुझे आज बहुत ऑड लगी. अब्बास लखानी, जो अकॉर्डिंग टू द आर्टिकल्स इन गूगल, आर्टिकल्स अवेलेबल ऑन इन द ओपन सोर्स, इज सेड टू बी delivery boy of drugs in this document. However, on the other hand, Abbas Lakhani, social media पे या फिर open source में ये दिखता है कि Abbas Lakhani was SSR's friend and also an alleged part of the pro team. So there are changes in statements I'd see of how someone is being portrayed to be related with Sushant.
Right.
एनसीबी को लगता है वो डिलीवरी बॉय है, बट इफ वी एक्चुअली गेट इनटू द थिंग्स, इफ वी एक्चुअली गेट इनटू learning about the pro team of सुशांत, we would see that Abbas Lakhani is a part of it. एंड आज मुझे एक बहुत अलग सा इंटरव्यू देखने को मिला जिसमें आई गॉट टू सी द प्रो टीम इंक्लूडिंग कुशल जवेरी, दीपेश सावंत. When SSR was in the middle of an interview, there was a surprise video that popped up of the pro team, and a lot gets revealed from there as well, wherein Sushant had spoken about his pro team. Tomorrow morning, I'll be uploading that interview.
Okay, great. In fact, sorry, एक वो जो साहिल शाह, who was, I guess he, क्या कहते हैं उसे, he surrendered himself, right? और वो remand लेकिन सिर्फ वो एक ही दिन का था, something weird like that. और उसने surrender किया एक दिन के लिए, फिर हमें पूरे मीडिया में फैला दिया गया कि ये सुशांत का neighbor था, हालांकि he's Ankita's neighbor, in fact he's not Sushant's neighbor. और उसको कहा जा रहा था कि ये बहुत ही बड़ा drug lord है, and somehow ये भी सुशांत drug case में linked है. So I'm also curious to see कि इसका क्या link है, and what are they trying to say? I mean, अब ये क्या और भी पहले का कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि ये इतने पहले से दिखाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि SSR तब से ड्रग्स केस में मतलब engaged था. तो ये सारी चीजें जो है ना, they're quite concerning. And Bharat, I mean, I know that between you and Raj, आप लोगों ने कई सेशंस में कहा है कि ये जो रिया की जो बेल कैंसलेशन जो बार बार पोस्टपोन हो रही है, दिस इज वेरी कंसर्निंग. तो ये सारी चीज़ों को जब हम एक्चुअली बिग पिक्चर देखते हैं, ये पूरी पिक्चर डज बिकम कंसर्निंग. आई थिंक आप जो कह रहे हो कि चार्जशीट हमने नहीं देखी, लेकिन उस चार्ज शीट पे भी तो मूवमेंट नहीं हो रहा ना, उसको भी तो 1 साल हो चुका है सबमिट हुए हुए।
ऑब्वियसली। एंड अगर आपको याद होगा जिस दिन ये फ्लैको अरेस्ट हुआ था, जिसको ड्रग लॉर्ड भी बोला जाता है,
जी,
the day when he was arrested, if he is such a drug lord, I was unaware to this fact that he was left in just one day.
राइट,
सिर्फ एक
या,
दिन की
या,
रिमांड हुई।
या,
अगर सिर्फ एक दिन की कस्टडी के बाद निकल गया, तो आई कैन वेरी वेल से कि might be people were waiting for Sameer Wankhede to walk off so that Vijendra Singh, जो नए
एग्जैक्टली,
zonal
या,
director,
एग्जैक्टली,
he has gone ahead and made things smooth for people.
या।
And ड्रग एंगल में भी अब एनसीबी से भी कुछ एक्सपेक्ट करने का किसी का कोई मतलब नहीं बनता, क्योंकि मुझे नहीं लगता ज्यादा कुछ होगा। तो
मेरी तो कंस्पिरेसी थ्योरी यहाँ पे भी आती है भारत की, हम लोगों ने जो ये सडनली डिस्कवर किए हैं, ये क्या हमको प्रॉम्प्ट किया गया था कि आप ये देखें, आपने ठीक से ध्यान से देखे नहीं है, मे बी सम यू नो, क्योंकि अक्टूबर की
you know
है ये, अब सवा
this
साल हो गया,
October 2020, सवा साल,
राइट,
ऑलमोस्ट 1.5 साल। कल शरण सर ने भी बोला कि मैंने ही ये बहुत लेट जाके पढ़ा। I'm like,
राइट, बट डिड समवन प्रॉम्प्ट अस टू टेक अ नोट ऑफ इट, जो हम, ताकि हम इस चीज को अब भूल ही जाएं, बिकॉज मे बी दे फेल्ट कि अब हम लोग अभी तक गिव अप नहीं कर रहे, तो हमको किस तरह से हमें डीमोटिवेट करें। पर खैर, है तो असलियत ना, आई मीन दैट्स बिसाइड्स द पॉइंट कि वो क्या कर रहे हैं। उनके तो सारे प्लान्स अच्छे जा रहे हैं, हमारा कोई प्लान नहीं जा रहा ठीक।
see, we have to like, okay, so the problem with us has been, सबसे पहली चीज मेरी नजर में ये डॉक्यूमेंट तब आया जब और भी लोग इस पे बात कर रहे थे ऑलरेडी, ठीक है। आई वाज अ लेट पार्टी टू इट, बट अभी तक ये पूरा डॉक्यूमेंट आई डोंट नो किसी ने सेशन में गो थ्रू किया है कि नहीं, जिस तरीके से हमने आज किया, जिससे और भी कई चीजें पता चली। बट अगर आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट एवरीवन टू डू इट बिकॉज इट गेट्स इम्पोर्टेंट। सेकंड, जो आपका पॉइंट है कि लाइक हम लोग ही एक तरीके से जिम्मेदार हैं इस चीज को डाउन साउथ लेके जाने के लिए, बट इट्स अस हु हैव टू लाइक gather ourselves together
Yes,
again
yes,
and then move in the right direction. Now we have already seen that we have taken a wrong turn. Okay, now we need to ensure that the turn that we have taken, we walk back and we lead to the exact same path which requires us, which is the path of justice for the murders and not for any kind of drug angle. In fact, ED angle is also important because once
yeah,
the ED gets solved, then it would be easy for CBI to also poke the murder wala thing, because they would have a probable cause behind the crime. That the probable cause behind the crime was money,
yeah, yeah,
because it has already been clarified that it wasn't drugs, and it has been clarified by NCB themselves.
right, right.
So it's
नहीं,
pretty
आप
simple.
you're absolutely right. In fact, आपने जो वो सेशंस किए थे ईडी के ऊपर, they were extremely interesting because किसी भी यूट्यूबर ने अभी तक उस पे इतना ज्यादा तवज्जो, इतना ज्यादा वेट नहीं दिया था। तो
I
ये
want people to talk about it ताकि अवेयरनेस फैले, इसलिए
राइट,
नहीं कि मैं सबसे पहले बोल रहा हूँ या फिर मेरा
या
क्या
या या
सोच।
या
I mean,
absolutely,
I
yeah,
want everyone to talk about it, and the sad part is, I'd like to share with everyone today कि मैंने शुरू के टाइम पे इतने इम्पोर्टेंट सेशंस रहे हैं, इतने ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट सेशंस रहे हैं, आई जस्ट डोंट नो व्हाई पीपल हैव नॉट पिक्ड इट अप. Though two bodies in Cooper, I have
yeah,
not seen anyone talking about it.
yeah,
Two bodies inside the room, I haven't seen anyone discussing that. बस हमने एक बार यहाँ पे देख लिया, उसके बाद 2 दिन हम खुश रहे कि अच्छा हमने देख लिया, और आज कोई भी उस पर बात नहीं कर रहा, क्योंकि शायद दूसरे यूट्यूबर्स ये सोचने में बिजी है कि अच्छा उसने उसके बारे में बात कर ली, लेट मी सर्च फॉर समथिंग न्यू, समथिंग आउट ऑफ द टॉपिक जो किसी और ने बात नहीं करी है, मैं उठा के उस पर बात करता हूँ. So this is what is happening, and
yes,
that is the
I agree,
blatant truth of what is happening in this campaign within the YouTubers. अगर आप लोग इस केस को बार बार रिपीट में नहीं जाके सबकी मेमोरीज रिवाइज कर सकते, और अगर आपको सिर्फ दिमाग में ये है कि आपको हर दूसरे दिन कुछ नया लाके दिखाना है जिससे कि आपकी पब्लिसिटी बढ़े, या फिर आपका नाम बढ़े, या फिर आपका कोई मार्क क्रिएट हो, then sorry boss, that's not the path we need to walk, and
नहीं,
that's where we are,
I think
like,
that आपका ऑब्जेक्टिव बहुत क्लियर है फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग, एंड इसीलिए आई रियली अप्रिशिएट what you're doing, And I also appreciate and I can understand कि जब बीच में कोई आपसे comment कर देता है कि उस बंदे को लाओ, I can understand, becomes a bit hard to manage. But yes, ED angle, ED सबसे पहले आया था, and that is the biggest motive. And उसमें I'm very curious to see कि ये जो दिनेश विजान जो था, who was the producer and who was Rapta ka, and he did not cooperate with ED. He basically said, bug off, मैं कोई information नहीं दे रहा.
And he has also worked with Sandeep Singh.
Oh
He is
yes,
also
ये आपने
working with
expose
Sandeep.
किया था. That's right.
Yeah.
He worked with Sandeep Singh, so and the connection with the Disha is also there. तो ये
Yeah.
ED का angle और ED के angle में याद है वो गोवा से भी जो बंदा आया था वो कोई गौरव आर्या. तो ये जो शुरुआत में जो ED ने ये सारे किए थे कि ये क्या चल रहा था इसमें. I mean, be it that it was partly drugs and it was partly that, but this sounds like the main motive was money. And it could have been a lot of other things also, like jealousy and ye wo and bara phalana and whatever else. But वहाँ से start हुआ था, तो अगर वही completion हो जाए, everything else will naturally fall into place. So that's what I agree with you on the ED. We need to keep raising that. पता नहीं क्यों नहीं वो इतना raise होता.
Not just that, the Thane angle is important too. The
Right.
politicians. So I have decided of coming out with sessions like role of politicians in the case, role of media houses in the case, role of different aspects wherein people have spoken about cryptocurrency, people have spoken about halala, but why have they not spoken about how the money is used by the state government using the real estate?
Yeah.
And how they have been blackmailing Modi for that, the center government for that.
Yeah.
That is also an angle which needs to be looked at, because that brings out or pans out the bigger game which is happening behind all the murder cases, or behind any and every kind of pressure that the state government is able to build upon the center.
But let me ask you a question. How do we know that they are blackmailing the center? How do we know that center is not also part and parcel of the corruption?
Wait for the session.
I know ये बहुत controversial हो जाता है. मेरे दिमाग में sorry this will be the last thing. I know I'm talking so much. मेरे दिमाग में वो जो अभी लता जी का जो final rights हुए थे, तो मैं ये देख रही थी ना कि ये सारे politicians from all parties, गले मिल रहे थे एक दूसरे के. I mean,
it's natural.
Modi ji came up and was like hugging Uddhav Thackeray and all this.
He has to. It's natural. See, he has to. There are few things wherein there are obligations, for a politician to act in a cordial way. But problem पता है क्या है? हम आजकल कुछ ज़्यादा ही notice करने लग गए हैं. हम आजकल कुछ ज़्यादा ही over hype करने लग गए हैं. कल पता है जब मैंने वो शाहरुख खान वाली वीडियो जब तक स्ट्रीम पे नहीं चलाई थी, तब तक मैं भी सोच रहा था कि he might have spit it, But when I saw the video, I was like, no, dude, it's just a blow of an air, and we hyped it to a different level.
But the thing is, उसका फायदा हुआ. हमने देखो कितनी बात की उसकी कमबख्त की. Even though it had nothing to do with him, हमने बड़ा उसको attention दे दिया इसमें.
Correct.
खैर.
और फिर वहाँ से घूम के लोग आर्यन खान पे चले गए. You're welcome.
Thank you so much
for joining in the stream. I guess this is the first time you have.
Yes.
We'll see you.
I'll come more often. Thank you, Bharat. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Freeze bhai.
How are you? Good evening. Hi. I'm very happy that in the recent times of your sessions, what I've seen is some stuff that I was saying is also echoing through you, and some people are now accepting and acknowledging the stuff that is there in front of us. One, not to get over super excited. एक छोटे चीज पे हम लोग let be whoever does it, और हमको at that momentary हमको लगता है अब भी हो जाएगा.
Amazing. Wankad Singham आ गया Singham. Yeah, ये वो है. चलो खैर. Yeah, that's the problem.
No disrespect. ये भी बोला है कि many times उन्होंने किया जो कुछ किया, and एक चीज very clear हो गया जो पहले था कि उसको अरेस्ट कर लिया, ये हो जाएगा वो हो जाएगा, and here it's the additional solicitor saying, ठीक है? Additional solicitor is nobody but he's basically the third ranking lawyer of the government of India. So basically he's representing GOI and NCB. बराबर, ठीक है,
Yeah.
and that's his point of view also, so we have to consider that and remember that always, ठीक है. So जागो SSRians जागो, ठीक है. Our fight is with, trust me, the whole system. When I say the system, it's the system.
It's the
ठीक है?
entire system. Yep.
It's the entire system, boss. ठीक है. And all these observations, very good. You know, मैं भी बोल रहा था अभी, न्यूयॉर्कर जी ने बोला कि you know, हम लोग देख रहे सब आजू बाजू में बैठे, अरे कहाँ एकदम बराबर गले वले मिल रहे ये वो, एंड वी नो उनके फेमस डायलॉग कि हमारी कोई आपस की दुश्मनी और रंजक नहीं है, हमारी सिर्फ आइडियोलॉजिकल डिफरेंसेस है, बराबर, यही तो है.
वो तो हर
ठीक है,
पॉलिटिशियन का कहना है ना भाई.
या
Every
ठीक है,
politician has the same thing to say.
या तो भाई लोग समझ लो, अपना कोई नहीं है, इन लोग सब अपने अपने हैं, ठीक है. सो कमिंग बैक
नीतीश
टू
राणे,
दिस,
नीलेश राणे, ये इन लोगों पे अब विश्वास करना. और मेरी हाथ जोड़ के सबसे दरख्वास्त है, देखो बीएमसी इलेक्शंस आ रहे हैं, नीतीश राणे, नीलेश राणे फिर उठ सकते हैं, बहुत बड़े चांसेस हैं ये न्यूज में आके फिर इनकी बकर करने का. प्लीज न्यौछावर मत हो जाना उन पे, दिमाग से काम लेना इज ऑल आई से. हाँ प्लीज भाई
एग्जैक्टली,
बोलो.
ठीक है. एंड कमिंग नाउ दैट डिटेल्ड इलैबोरेट होके, मेरा तो ये एक बार मैं खुद पढ़ा था, एंड शर्म भाव ने किया, आज यू डिड, एंड इट इज वेरी सैड, यू नो. मैं सोच रहा था ये 2-3 दिन से, और अभी भी व्हेन यू वर गोइंग थ्रू, यू नो, सो अनफॉर्चुनेट एंड सैड, और मेरे को गुस्सा भी आ रहा है ये, खास करके चक्रवर्ती लोग, इन लोग ने जब भी रिया भी सब जगह इसने उसका यूज किया और अपना नाम भी साथ में घुसाड़ा, ठीक है. आई मीन इवन टू द पॉइंट कि वो जो माउंट ब्लैंक का फ्लैट लिया था, वी ऑल नो, हम लोग ने इंटरव्यू सब देखा था, ये भाई तो उसको पता भी नहीं था, सब फोन कॉल अगेन कौन किया, रिया की.
हाँ,
को अपने आप को उसमें वो
रिया मेट द ब्रोकर इज व्हाट आई हैव हर्ड एज वेल.
बराबर, सनी उसका नाम है, ठीक है. तो वो सनी ने खुद ने बोला फोन पे, ठीक है. उधर भी वही फोन की है, उसी ने ही ये बॉलिंग डाली है कि दे माइट बी गेटिंग मैरिड, ये वो सब खुद ही किए लोग, ठीक है. चैट्स और ये मानिश शिंदे तो यूज करेगा, इसलिए मैंने वन सेशन आई हैड डन इन व्हिच आई स्टार्टेड ऑफ दिस, मिस्टर मानिश शिंदे हैड गिवन अ अपना जूम है ना, तो जूम को इंटरव्यू दिया, उसमें स्टार्ट में बोल रहा है रिया हैज नो कनेक्शन विद ड्रग्स, ओनली ड्यूरिंग द लॉकडाउन, बोल रहा है 2020 में, ओनली ड्यूरिंग द लॉकडाउन शी सुशांत यूज्ड हर फोन टू प्रोक्योर एंड ब्ला ब्ला. दिस इज हिज ओन, आई कैन शेयर दैट वीडियो विद यू, ठीक है.
2017 में भी
और
गौरव
17 का भूल रहा है, एग्जैक्टली 17 का भूल रहा है, बट शी इज एडमिटेड गौरव को कि अरे आई हैव डन एमडीएमए, वहां से भी 17 से 20 तक और कितना कि हमको क्या पता बस, यू नो. गोवा जाके लस्सी तो नहीं पी रही है ना, बराबर, ठीक है, ओके.
राइट.
एंड इवन फ्रॉम द फ्लैट, घर मतलब शौविक का जो अक्टूबर का भी देखेगा एक्सचेंजेस, यही सब, ऑल दीज गाइस, दिल्ली से पहले जिसको उठाया सबका शौविक के साथ निकला है. शौविक ही बोला अक्टूबर नवंबर इसके अकाउंट से पैसे उसके इधर जा रहा है, एवरीवेयर. मरने के बाद भी इन लोग सब वही कर रहे हैं कि हम तो उसके लिए कर रहे थे.
एक
So you know, it
आपका
is so sad. Let me finish. It's so
हाँ.
sad that basically it's looking like a scary blueprint I see of just dumping everything on the victim. You know,
Yep.
every and chalo, you know, I'm saying chal ticket like that. So you guys were buying and bringing and getting him. तो तुम लोग भी पेडलर हो गए बीच में, कैरियर हो गए तुम लोग.
पैसे रिया क्यों दे रही है?
और पैसे रिया क्यों दे रही है फिर, बराबर, ठीक है. तो इनको
और वो नहीं,
पेडलर के
एक
एंगल से तो
एक
इनको
पॉइंट पे आप मेरा
प्रोसिक्यूट
क्वेश्चन
करो
है.
और अंदर डालो फटाफट.
हाँ, ये तो है. मेरा एक आपसे क्वेश्चन है फ्रीज भाई, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट, जो आज हमने पढ़ा है यहाँ पे. अब्बास लखानी को डिलीवरी बॉय बताया गया. व्हाट इज योर टेक ऑन दैट?
आई डोंट नो क्यों डिलीवरी बॉय बोला. अभी डिलीवरी बॉय वो इनके लिए, इनके टीम के लिए था कि डिलीवरी बॉय वो दूसरे
सिर्फ उस ड्रग डील के लिए, वो जो ड्रग डील वहां पे जो एक्सप्लेन हो रही थी, उसमें सैमुअल मिरांडा को कुछ ड्रग्स मिले थ्रू बसित परिहार, एंड
वो सब में देखा. यू नो, मेरे को क्लियरली क्या दिख रहा है इसमें, ऑनेस्टली स्पीकिंग. ओके, आई हैव स्पोकन दिस वंस, आई डोंट लाइक टू रिपीट इट, लॉट ऑफ हीट एंड कुछ तो भी होता है, बट मेरे को क्लियरली दिख रहा है क्या हो रहा है. दीज गाइज एंड स्पेशली द वर्ड, यू नो व्हाट, नॉट टू फॉरगेट, इट्स आल्सो मेंशन्ड दैट दीज आर वेरी मिनिमल, क्या बोलता है, क्वांटिटी एंड स्टफ. तो लुकिंग एट दैट एंगल के, एंड वेयर मार्शिन इज सेइंग आल्सो, यू नो, दीज आर वेरी माइनर स्टफ, यू नो, make them punish them in a very milder way when the case hearing also starts. उसको कुछ public service program करा दिया, कुछ rehab program करा दिया, ये करा दिया, वो करा दिया, ठीक है? Okay, but LSD जिधर मैं देखा ना mention भी है, it is very clear these guys, and I saw that amount also 1,80,000 something, बराबर? So are these guys, and 3 to 4 drops, he hallucinating, he sleeping, he whatever. For a very long time, I was saying scopolamine bhi karke because of the bank signing and money or whatever. I feel LSD का भी इसमें कुछ role है यार, you know.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that was coming out and been seeing, these are harkate of LSD also.
Bro, what is LSD? Those are also drops on a blotter.
Drops, yeah, exactly. You get in crystal. After that, you can make as much as you want out of that, just like
Yeah,
MDMA.
those are drops. Acid बोलते हैं जिससे. That's LSD.
Yeah.
Those are drops. तो CBD oil, क्या पता वो LSD के drops दिए जा रहे हो, not just
that
CBD
is why I'm
oil.
saying no CBD, and somebody I think mentioned, or somebody somewhere I read, why Shruti और वो जया का इधर नाम ही नहीं है?
Obviously.
क्यों उनका नाम नहीं है बॉस?
क्योंकि उन चीजों पे केस नहीं हुआ है ना.
यहाँ
पे कुछ स्पेसिफिक इंस्टेंसेस पे केस है, आप ये नोटिस करना उन चीजों.
एग्जैक्टली मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ मालूम है, इन लॉट ऑफ स्टफ में दिख रहा है कौन को इसको इतना ढील दिया जा रहा है इधर.
ईडी सर, ईडी जब तक चुप रहेगी, ईडी और सीबीआई को साथ आके करना पड़ेगा, नहीं तो ना हो पाए. और वो प्रेशर हमें डालना पड़ेगा. मैं जा रहा हूँ 14 तारीख को यहाँ पे सीबीआई. आप जा रहे हो क्या माउंट ब्लैंक?
कौन? मैं एक्चुअली सच्ची बोलूं तो मेरा एक कुछ काम है, नहीं हुआ तो मैं खुद दिल्ली आल सी.
मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि अगर और भी दो तीन स्टेट्स या सिटीज से लोग कनेक्ट करे और साथ में मिलके करे, कि वो लोग अपनी जगह पे, हम लोग यहाँ दिल्ली में अपनी जगह पे पीपल, तो हम पूरे इंडिया में ये देख सकते हैं कि अगर हम 10 करके 4 जगह भी हो गए तो 50 लोग तो एक दिन में कम से कम बाहर सड़क पे उतर रहे हैं 5 अलग जगहों पे. तो वो भी एक आइडिया है, बट या just an idea.
No, there's only on Vishal is here the comment. I've already got it. So of course Mount पे तो होएगा ही. There's no doubt about it. But again, I've gone there. I think where we have to really knock the door and shake them is at the center. Not now Mount Blanc. Okay, chalo, all that is cool, yeah. But when we have to really shake and question, and it has to be at the center. It has to be at the CPI, outside CPI. That's what I feel. मैं दिसंबर से बोल रहा हूँ. दिसंबर के लिए भी वो तो इतना जल्दी हो गया आप लोग का लास्ट दिसंबर का. ट्रस्ट मी, आउट ऑफ देयर तो फिर जैन का और ही कुछ हो गया, समथिंग व्हाटएवर. सो चलो अभी देखते हैं.
सुशांत,
probably
you'll see me in the now. So the time is now. If you want to change anything in the future, the time is now. So don't wait for the time. Bhai, please, let's gear up. Let's pull up our socks and let's get on the ground, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
Anything else, please, bhai, you want to add?
No, there's so much I see. I see less happiness, more disappointment.
Why disappointment? This is something which was it should have been anticipated. People, मैंने तो ये day 1 से anticipate किया था कि this is happening, and that's what I was talking about since day 1.
I'm saying disappointment with the movement and some set of stuff that is going on.
अरे let it be. See, देखो भाई, मूवमेंट में कोई क्या कर रहा है, कोई क्या नहीं कर रहा है, किसी के डिफरेंसेस है, मेरे आपके डिफरेंसेस है, मेरे या चलो चैट में से किसी को भी उठा ले, हैप्पी सोल के डिफरेंसेस हैं, मेरे या एशली के डिफरेंसेस है, मेरे या जोशी आश्रय के डिफरेंसेस हैं. दैट वुडंट मैटर. That shouldn't matter. And bhai, please stay strong. We need each and every pair of legs on the ground. And आप हमेशा ग्राउंड पे उतरे हो जब मैं मुंबई आया हूँ. You have joined. So first of all, thank you for that. And we need people like you who can step on the ground.
No, I'm saying disappointment that we shouldn't get happy for breadcrumbs is my disappointment.
This is not NCV is not even breadcrumb. NCV is irrelevant. If you are here to eat sushi, NCB is Thai. That's the difference.
देख भरत, मेरा बोलने का ये मतलब है, जस्ट नाउ सम टाइम अगो यू सेड कि पब्लिक खुश हो जाती है, फिर उससे ड्रैग होता है, डिले होता है, डिस्ट्रैक्ट होता है. आवर फोकस शुड बी मर्डर एंड सीबीआई. एंड हमने बहुत टाइम एक बोलते ना ढील दे दिया, बहुत टाइम फोकस इज द थिंग ना. डिस्ट्रैक्ट हो जाते हैं, इधर हो गया उधर हो गया. अभी ये सड़ेला थूके के क्या, अभी इसको हटाओ इसको यार, हम लोग इधर काय के लिए, उस पे बात करो.
Obviously.
Stick to the 302. Yeah, stick to 302. Simple as that. Yeah.
सर हम अच्छे सिस्टम की लड़ाई या फिर अच्छे और दूसरी चीजों की लड़ाई तब लड़ेंगे जब एक चीज तो हम सॉल्व नहीं कर पा रहे, हम जा रहे हैं दूसरी डाइवर्स चीजों में बात करने के लिए.
Exactly. एक प्रोजेक्ट हाथ में उसको खत्म नहीं किया, सडनली दूसरे पे उड़ी मारे कटक करके.
हाँ, जस्टिस फॉर एसएसआर हो नहीं पा रहा है, तुम आर्यन खान की भी बात कर लोगे, तुम दूसरे केसेस भी देख लोगे, तुम मनसुख हिरेन भी बोल दोगे, तुम जितने भी केसेस हुए हैं इन द रीसेंट पास्ट, तुम हर केस में चले
कनेक्टेड है, सबको कनेक्ट करेंगे. सबको कनेक्ट
सुशांत
करेंगे.
पे तो जाओ, सुशांत पे तो जाओ. So that's the main thing. And Freeze bhai, thank you like every time for joining in once again. And we have to be the ones, like trying to motivate people around. There are times when we also feel motivated, but we know that it would be momentary. So everyone whosoever feel demotivated by any means, just remember, whatever is, it's momentary, because time is bound to change, and we are bound to imply our actions. Once we imply our actions, the time would change automatically, is all I'd like to say. Freeze by anything
Yeah.
else you want to
Yeah, I
add to your-
just request. I see every day, and a lot of people have I've just been conversing, and they've been DMing me, and I see them on every day, multiple platforms. They are there, and so for me, you guys are like full on for the case. So I humbly request, just like now how New Yorker came, please come once in a week and speak.
Yeah.
Please, more the people. Trust me, there's a reason why I'm saying. Okay, please come, put your thought, put your one point, or even if you echo the same stuff, but different voices, please come forward and speak. Thank you.
Correct. Thank you so much, Freeze, and have a good night. We'll talk
Chalo, good night to
offline.
you also. Take care. Yeah.
Yep. And Tanmaya, I got this comment, a very amazing idea. Let me do this tomorrow when I'll be here to do the layer 3, the part 3 of the Pro Team and Inside Ventures. Tomorrow, I'll also lay out a plan that anyone who's willing to do a protest on 14th in their respective cities can do a protest, upload it on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you feel you wish to. You want to send me the video, I'll certainly feature it on our channel. It will be featured, but for that very moment when it would be happening, Twitter is the best way. And tomorrow I'll lay out the plan, then accordingly we can work it out, and let's make this happen. Yeah, even if we are less in numbers, we can do enough. An individual has uncountable amount of surreal power. You just need to look within. So uncountable is a wrong word, don't quote me, grammar Nazis, but yeah, thank you. And भूल जाओ एनसीबी को यार, भूल मत जाओ. मतलब इस केस से कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, ड्रग्स एंगल से कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. ठीक है. Thank you everyone once again. Let the facts do the talking. See you tomorrow with the part 3. One life.